Hello, everybody. Happy Saturday, the 21st, I think. Yep, March 21st already, and the first of the year is around the corner, how they say, April. Hope everyone's having a good Saturday. It looks like Kay's in first today. Hopefully, Carol will be all ready to come in. She got home, she said 4 o'clock, so we only got a 9-minute Billy so far. So and I got um Kay said the Q video is a big one, 4-minute one. And down the list we go. I guess I'm not gonna be able to play Doug anymore because every time I play him I get a copyright. So I don't know, see what happens. I didn't get nothing yesterday, so I've been relaxing all day today. Kind of cold here today. I don't know what the story is on Elon Musk about. He's paying America something. I don't know what that's big story. Doug has a story. I think Tucker might have something on that. Well, actually, so you get my text, JJ, on Telegram. I got you my new phone number, so you can put the number in the thing, so I can try to reach you. Yep. Laura, you made it in. You still over at your daughters or your sisters? I can't remember where you were going. Yeah. I just typed it in there just a little bit ago. Yeah. Okay. So you got the day off today?
Here to tell Sergeant Lim.
Oh, that's good to see. Yep. You spend more time over there. Where's Lucy at? Lucy should be in here. Uh-oh. Oh, boy. So, did you guys hear about the 120-year-old dam in Hawaii? I got a video clip and then I got some photos from it. I wonder, wasn't the three dams gotta collapsed? Remember, I think Gracie, our old friend Gracie, told us about the dams. Remember that? I wish she would come back. Okay. Well, we'll share that first clip. I got three. We got two people died. One actor. So we want to share those real quick. This one is the not the actor, but somebody. Oh, we got a new name in here. We got see who can't see the name. Student of the tree, welcome. Is this your first time in chat? And I was just curious what state you're from. I always ask. Thank you, and I'm from Michigan. Doing this for almost 6 years and over 1 million views. Thanks for sharing that. Okay. Okay. What do you guys hear about this one dying? God dang it. Hold on a second. It's a commercial or an ad. Ah, not another ad. This is a long ad.
This is going to have a very serious consequence for us as a state, though we have support. We are now beginning to contemplate the reality that this storm could cost over $1 billion of damage in both the private and public sector. And that includes things like damage to the airports, a major hospital that's been damaged.
That one's a messy video. Here's a photo. College or Collapse Fears 120-year-old damn empty rep says over 4,000 people told to leave now. Mirror breaking. Donald Trump declares he considering winding down the war against Iran. Okay, this is the one that Kay sent me.
Unique situation and get you every dollar you deserve. So hand off your taxes to a local TurboTax expert today.
What's up, family? Welcome back to Out of Darkness. I am Q. So I don't know if you guys remember this guy by the name of Robert Mueller. So around about 2017, I know many of you guys will remember this. Some of you guys will not. Robert Mueller, former FBI chief, was tapped by, well, it's understood that there was a decision made by Comey to bring Robert Mueller in to basically look for any ties he possibly could find to Donald Trump and Russia. He was supposed to confirm the Russiagate narrative. They knew that it was never going to stick. That wasn't a question. The question was to create doubt in the court of public opinion. And even after they found him to be completely unguilty or not guilty of the Russia collusion hoax, there are still a lot of people in this country who still believe that Donald Trump was tied in some way to Russia. Well, unfortunately, and I guess I'll say, we'll say prayers for his family, but Robert Mueller was found dead this morning at age 81.
Wow.
He was subpoenaed to come and speak before Congress. His family said that he was not able to come to speak before Congress because shortly after the investigation, Robert Mueller was found to have Parkinson's, and he was then placed into a memory care facility. Now, I'm not here to speak ill of the dead, but we said this. During that investigation, there was clearly something off when Robert Mueller, when he stood before or sat before Congress and gave his findings and was questioned by Congress. It was clear that he was impaired. So that brings to question, what is the thing? What is the deal with, the swamp wanting to use people who are cognitively impaired to push their narrative? Why do they find brain dead people to be president? Why do they find nearly brain dead people to do investigations? What's up with this? Now, the interesting part is when he first started the investigation, he seemed perfectly fine. Either this was the fastest progressing illness of all time, which it very well could be because it attacks some people differently than others, but it also, just thinking out loud, it's interesting that many, many times, and you can look into this, when people are dealing with top secret information and they are working behind the scenes and they are doing things that are off label, very often those people wind up with some type of mental impairment. You look at the people in the CIA, you look at people in the FBI, when those people are tapped to do things that are knowingly wrong, it is very, very often that those people wind up with some form of memory or cognitive issues. I don't know what it is. I'm not going to sit here and say what it is. I have my own suspicions, but it seems strange to me that over and over and over it happens. And in a far more outrageous rate than in the general population. It just seems mathematically impossible that all of these people are coming down with chronic memory issues. Let me know what you guys think about this. But again, prayers to his family. I hope that he made peace with God. I hope that he found Jesus Christ as his personal savior. And I hope that he got it right. But
yeah, that was a big one there. Hey, there you are, Lucy. Yeah, the frogs. Yep. That was Robert Mueller died. Q did a video on that. You just get home from shopping, Lucy? So the next one is Sarah Huckabee on Fox. Five minutes.
Restaurant asked the White House press secretary at the time to leave because she worked for President Donald J. Trump. That press secretary was Sarah Sanders, She is now the governor of Arkansas. And that restaurant, by the way, has long since closed down. But just last week, it happened again. Governor Sanders having lunch with friends at a restaurant in her own state. She's the governor when the restaurant staff asked her to get out while reportedly flipping her the bird. Those on the left love to drape themselves in virtue and love and compassion and inclusion. Nothing could be further from the truth. Anyway, the left is becoming more violent, less tolerant, and to top it all off, more anti-Semitic. Recent NBC News poll found that 2/3 of Democrats side with Gaza over Israel. Wow. Reaction to Governor, great state of Arkansas, Sarah Sanders. Well, first off, I remember interviewing you when this happened the last time, and I said, I'm sorry, you're the governor of the state. Now, my understanding is you ate lunch, I believe it was lunch, then you paid the bill, you tipped them, and then they told you to get the hell out. Is that right?
You're right. Unfortunately, I was there with two other moms. And as you know, as well as anybody, Sean, the battle in this country is no longer between the left versus the right. It's the normal versus the crazy. And unfortunately, we saw a little bit of the crazy come out last week in my home state of Arkansas. But the good news is that the vast majority of people across this country, they love God, they love their families, they love America, and they do not represent that small group that we had to experience and endure last week. I think my state is one of the most hospitable in the country. I'm proud to be the governor of Arkansas. I love our people. I think we have some of the most amazing people you will find anywhere, and we're not going to let a small group ruin a great reputation or dictate the rules or what it looks like to be from Arkansas or to be an American. And so we're going to continue to try to treat people with kindness the way that we want to be treated, hold our heads high, and ignore the haters and the touch of crazy when we encounter it wherever we are.
Now, I imagine if you were your former boss, Donald J. Trump, that they'd probably be slapped with a lawsuit, probably for about $1 billion, just guessing. There are laws on the books against these practices. It's called discrimination. I think the law would be on your side. It doesn't sound like you're thinking about it, but maybe you should. I mean, they're not allowed to discriminate, are they?
I think the market will take care of this on its own. And again, my place is to hold my head high, continue to treat people with kindness, show the great side of our state, ignore the nastiness, and continue to do a great job and continue representing Arkansas. And I think I do that best by letting the market take care of that. As you noted, when you started this story, the red hen is no longer in business. I certainly don't wish that for anybody, but we'll see what happens.
Wait a minute. But I do. I mean, I'm glad they went out of business after how they treated you. Just being honest.
Well, that's why I love you, Sean, is that no holds bar, no matter what. And so I appreciate that you have always supported, stood up, and given me a platform to tell my side of the story. And we'll see what happens with this place in Arkansas. But we're going to continue to focus on the good in our state, because there's so much more of that than there ever is of what we are seeing happening far too often from the very intolerant left that exist, not just in Arkansas, but across the country.
This is why you and your dad are much better people than I could ever dream of being. I admire it, but this would really piss me off. When I left New York, one of the main reasons was I'd walk into certain restaurants and you can read a room, right? And I would see disdain and disgust on people's faces just because I was in the room that they were in. Because they just, they have this, bubble and fizz reaction like Alka-Seltzer at the sight of somebody that politically disagrees with them. But Governor, you shouldn't have had to go through that. I admire your strong Christian ethic. I know your dad brought you up right, but you're a better person than I am. We appreciate you being with us, and I'm glad you love the people in the state and that the rest of Arkansas is normal. This is not representative of Arkansas. That's my own personal experience. We appreciate you being with us. Hey.
Okay, Sarah Huckabee, we haven't heard in a while. I got. We'll do Billy Bean 9-minute one. And then we got another Walmart incident. Okay, we'll play it in a bit.
They want to allow.
Welcome to Truth by Billy Bean.
This is 9
and
minutes.
thanks for like, subscribe, and share. Today's date, March 21, 2026. Time in Texas about 8 a.m. Some of the things we'll cover. Strong geomagnetic storms, more to come. The U.S. military is deploying thousands, and President Trump preps for POWs from Iran. So let's get started. So over the past 24 hours, we've had 2 CMAs come in, giving us a strong shock wave passing through and over the Earth, giving a strong G3 geomagnetic storm. We have one more CME to come later today. We had auroras down in the U.S. to New Mexico, and we are seeing climate change. The western half of the U.S. is experiencing June temperatures in March, up to 110 degrees Fahrenheit. In the past 24 hours, Tahoe Ski Resort closes early as the snow is melting. We're also seeing flooding north of Honolulu, with 5,500 people evacuating from areas north of Honolulu. They've had 30 inches of rain. And in addition to the flooding rain, the people are evacuating due to the questions about a 120-year-old dam holding in that area. So that's going on. And we have this news coming out from Raw Story. In January, we know President Trump said he wanted Greenland and he was willing to take it by force. Well, we had the NATO pukes, Denmark, Norway, France, Germany, UK, going to Greenland with explosives in the event that they had to blow up the runways to prevent the U.S. military from landing. President Trump, I say let them defend themselves and get the U.S. out of NATO. And we have this from U.S. Intel. So I know that a lot of pundits are saying that President Trump, the U.S. military, never had any plans with what they're doing in Iran. I put this forth. The U.S. military is prosecuting plans that the U.S. military has had on their books for years, and that the current surges we're seeing in U.S. military definitely began about 6 weeks ago, prior to the beginning of the conflict in Iran. And the 82nd Airborne has been prepping at least for 6 to 8 weeks and the 82nd Airborne, the U.S. military can locate anywhere on Earth within 18 hours, thousands of paratroopers. It's believed that the 82nd is going to Iran to process Iranian POWs. And we have this. The U.S. military is also deploying Apaches, A-10 Warthogs, and a potential plan is to take Karg Island. And plans are also to process Iranian POWs. That will be the job of the 82nd. And we have this. We know that globally, the world is experiencing oil and gas impacts. And we have diesel supply down in Australia, gasoline supply down in Japan. We have a Scandinavian Airlines cutting 1,000 flights due to a shortage of jet fuel. And we currently have a humanitarian crisis growing in the Persian Gulf, where we have 3,200 ships being held hostage by Iran, and they're running low on food and water. And we have this. The U.S., we have heard in the past few days, was surging up to 2,500 Marines from Japan and sending 3 amphibious ships from Japan, including the AAA San Diego Plus. And now, in the past 24 hours, the U.S. military is moving up to 8,000 more Marines from the U.S. West Coast, and the amphibious ships USS Boxer, Comstock, and Portland. And the Marine force that's being surged is the 111th. We have this, that U.S. intel believes the U.S. is going to bring about a ground invasion of Iran. And it's believed the objective is to secure the Strait of Hormuz, take control of Karg Island, and another objective is to process Iranian prisoners of war. We have this from the Enforcer. Iran has tried to hit Diego Garcia. So we have Iran, we've got the UAE, the Strait of Hormuz. We have India down here. Diego Garcia is a strategic military island base for the U.S. But the ICBMs Iran fired toward Diego Garcia fell short. So that's going on. And we have this from Scott Bennett, Treasurer of the U.S., who is now lifting the sanctions on Iranian oil. He has already lifted sanctions on Russian oil, and this is being done to continue to prop up global economies and provide more supply of oil. So that's going on. And yesterday, France seized a Russian shadow tanker. So I'm not sure what's up with that. And Iran continues to hit its Gulf states neighbors, Israel, Iraq, and has tried also to make another hit on the U.S. military base, Incirlik, located in Turkey. So this concludes my flash update. I love you, and I'll see you soon.
Okay, she came out early this morning.
I mean, they're taking everybody's pages down and their videos down, and they're going to end up with no people wanting to post on their app at all. They're only hurting themselves because the truth is going to get out there. We're going to get the truth out there, whether we have to start our own podcast or we have to write books like I'm doing. Okay. The information's going to get out there so they can keep banning pages and doing what they're doing, but we're going to get out there. They need to realize that. They might as well just let it go and stop violating our First Amendment. Anyways, this is your daily reminder. Stay awake. Keep posting your information. For the researchers that have dug deep for a long time, do not let apps like this stop you, because I do see some people feeling defeated and like they took my whole page down. They took my page down too. And we just create other pages. My stuff is also rolled over to YouTube. So roll your stuff over to a different app so you don't lose your videos. Don't let this app stop you from getting the information out there. Most people are waking up or they're awake, but there are a good handful that are still completely sleeping. So if you can wake up just one person, you've done your job. So keep going. I'm going to keep going. And I'm writing books. That's what I'm doing. But don't let this app stop you. Anyways, I'll be posting on here. And then I went over and did Gen X Gen number 3. So now I only have Gen X Gen number 2 and Gen X Gen number 3. Those are the only 2 pages I have that I will be posting stuff on. My YouTube link is in my bio. If you're on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe to me. That way you can see my videos. They have violated me like once or something. I had to do a questionnaire.
I guess I'll find her on YouTube.
And it was because it was medical related and they didn't want me talking the big C word or whatever. But other than that, they're a little more lenient on YouTube than here. This app is a joke. We're just trying to get information out there. So no one's going to stop us. We're going to keep going. So go ahead and subscribe to my YouTube if you haven't already.
Yeah, I got one more with her. I don't think we played this one.
And they keep censoring me and taking videos down, and I'm not getting nearly as many views as I was before. They're not pushing my stuff out there, obviously, for obvious reasons, because I'm telling the truth. And that's what they do to truthers here on TikTok. So I am currently writing small books, and I will start selling them once they are completed. I will make a video and let you know, and you can go ahead and get the downloadable version. I'm going to do it so you can download it and you don't have to go to a store. You don't have to have it mailed to you. None of that. I'll do the downloadable version on here. And that way, and I'll do specific subjects. So right now I'm writing about how we're the real Israel. And once it's done, I'll let you know. And then you can go ahead and get that. And they can censor me all they want. And that way you can read my book, which points out specific facts that we are the real Israel. That's the one I'm doing right now. I'll do other subjects after that, and I will keep you posted. They're not going to silence us. We're going to get our stuff out there somehow, some way.
Yep.
Have a great day.
Yep, she's another good one. I got the press secretary on Fox. I don't know if you guys caught that yesterday.
processes. Our data is together. We use NetSuite in all of our companies because it enables our growth.
Our city is under siege.
Lucas, thank you very much. Lucas talking about the bunker
11
buster. He
minutes.
mentioned it's fairly new. It's been in our arsenal for about 2 years. Again, first tested in May of 2024. 5,000-pound bombs designed to destroy hardened concrete reinforced targets that I'll show you on the map in a moment here that help protect some of the missile sites there in the Strait of Hormuz. They can fly now, the 5,000-pound bunker busters, on F-15. So the fighter jets have much greater agility than we have seen from some of the long-range B-1 bombers coming out of Missouri. This is what CENTCOM gave us, all right? This image is the Strait of Hormuz. Show you it on a different map. This is the northern edge of Hormuz. This is the concern now for getting oil through there. What the president's talked about, allies helping out there. So far, they have not given way on that. We'll see whether or not that changes throughout the day. But these are the missile locations that these bunker busters went after, all right? To date, you've got 7,000 targets struck on behalf of the U.S. and Israel, 6,500 combat flights, and you got 100, 100 Iranian vessels that belong to their navy that have been damaged or destroyed. That is significant, too. And so is this now. These are a dozen leaders in Iran's government, okay, that have been eliminated in the past 2 weeks. The Ayatollah, and then yesterday, the commander of the besieged. That's the interior militia group that really controlled the country within various Iranian cities throughout the country of Iran. The Ali Larijani, who was eliminated yesterday. And then the big news from overnight, this is Ismail Khatib. He's the Minister of Intelligence. Some suggest that there are some reporting in the Wall Street Journal that once they started to destroy locations where a lot of these leaders got together, they would literally camp out in tents overnight in force, and some of the Israeli and U.S. intelligence have led them there to eliminate some of them. But let's think about the Minister of Intelligence right now as we're bringing Caroline Levitt from the North Lawn. And Caroline, welcome to our coverage. We got a number of things we want to run through, so thank you for your time today. First of all, on Khatib, does the United States, or does the White House believe that he was responsible for assassination attempts on President Trump?
Well, I won't comment on that intelligence, Bill, but certainly this was a known terrorist. And U.S. intelligence, combined with Israeli intelligence, our great partners in this effort, is the best in the world. And of course, this man is no longer with us here on Earth. And that's a good thing for the United States. And it's a good thing for the American people who have long been threatened by this rogue terrorist regime. We're now on day 18 of this operation, and some updated numbers for you from CENTCOM this morning. We've now actually struck more than 7,800 targets. More than 120 Iranian naval ships are at the bottom of the ocean, have been sunk by our great military. So the objectives of Operation Epic Fury have been clear from day one, and the sheer lethality and power of the U.S. Armed Forces is on display every single day as they continue to meet these objectives and obliterate the rogue Iranian regime and their ability to threaten the United States of America, our allies, and the Middle East.
Caroline, there was news yesterday when Joe Kent, who works for Tulsi Gabbard over at the DNI, a political appointee, said he could no longer stay in his job. He was resigning over the Iran war. So he had objections. When is the last time he saw President Trump?
It's been a while. It's been a while since the president has seen him here at the White House. It's been a while since he's been involved in the process of the presidential daily briefs, and he's been actually present for the president's intelligence briefings. This was an individual who was not involved in any of the discussions pre-operation and throughout this operation. I think the president views it as deeply unfortunate that this individual, who the president gave the privilege of working for the administration, put out this resignation on government letterhead with many falsehoods throughout, essentially accusing the president of being manipulated by foreign governments. That's laughable and it's insulting. President Trump has been remarkably consistent on this issue of Iran for many, many years. Long before he ever entered politics, he has always said Iran can never possess a nuclear weapon. So anyone who works here should be well aware of the president's intentions and his peace through strength agenda and his willingness to use the United States military to achieve peace if and when necessary, as we have seen throughout Operation Epic Fury.
There are some reports that the White House considered him to be someone who was leaking. And of course, that's obviously no good when you are at the White House. You don't want somebody like that in the administration. He was never fired over that. His boss, Tulsi Gabbard, the director of national intelligence, will be testifying this morning. Does the president still have full confidence in her?
He does, yes. And we look forward to watching the director's hearings today. And I think that anyone who has been suspected of leaking or is proven to be a leaker will not be welcome in this administration. I know that for a fact because I've heard the president say it myself. There are investigations underway into leakers in this administration, and people will be held accountable for that. It's unacceptable and it cannot be tolerated.
As you just heard, we told our viewers we're watching both of those hearings and they may make news, and we'll bring them headlines when they happen. On a truth that was sent out earlier today, 7:22 a.m. Eastern time. I wonder what would happen if we, quote, finished off what's left of the Iranian terror state and let the countries that use it, we don't, be responsible for the so-called Strait. That would get some of our non-responsive allies in gear and fast, President DJT. Has there been any movement overnight on behalf of our allies that has softened their position about going through the Strait of Hormuz?
Not overnight, but the president and his team, especially Secretary Hegseth and Secretary Rubio, continue to be in touch with their counterparts in Europe and, of course, our allies in the Arab engulfed region to step up and do more to help the United States in securing the Strait of Hormuz. This is to their benefit, more so than it is to the benefit of the United States. Thanks to President Trump, we are a net exporter of energy. We don't need the Strait of Hormuz for our energy here at home. For the American people, of course, we want the strait to be open for the global oil market and to stabilize prices and bring them down again. And we have options the military has options to continue doing that. But the president is right to call on our allies to step up to do more. You know, one of President Trump's guiding principles is fairness. And he has long called out NATO for being what he believes an unfair alliance for the American people, the American taxpayer, and our U.S. armed forces. You look at some of the trade deals with our NATO allies. The president has worked to renegotiate and reset those to make them more fair for the American people and American workers. You look at the fact that the United States has thousands of troops on our allies in NATO's soil. We're paying these countries billions of dollars, and our troops on their soil serves as a deterrent for them. And the president wants the American taxpayer and our American military to be treated fairly. He feels sometimes with NATO they are not, and he's right to call that out, and he's right to call on them to step up and do more, especially when reopening the strait benefits them even more than it does the United States of America.
There are troubles here at home as well. The Department of Homeland Security remains shut down, and Mark Wayne Mullen has his hearing. We're going to hear from him in a moment. But there were reports that the Democrats had come forward with some sort of an idea or a deal to move forward. We're going to talk to a woman who works at the TSA in the next block, and I'm curious, what would the president want her to know about his attempts to try to get a deal done? And will we see some movement on that today if the Democrats put something that is reasonable?
In this game, you will have to make important strategic decisions that impact your gameplay and player experience. Will you?
Well, unfortunately, we're on day 33 of this Democrat-led shutdown of the Department of Homeland Security, and they have been anything but reasonable. The White House has worked in good faith with Democrats and Republicans on Capitol Hill to reopen the department. We've offered them multiple binding and substantive offers to reopen DHS, including some changes to the way immigration enforcement in this country takes place. And they have rejected every single one of those offers. They've asked for concessions. We'll give them a concession, and then they say, oh, wait, that's actually not a real concession. So unfortunately, these are people who are not negotiating in good faith. You actually had a Democrat lawmaker from Virginia yesterday say that this Democrat-led shutdown is, quote, hurting the wrong people. It's hurting the American people. More than 100,000 workers going without pay. This is the third time TSA agents have been impacted by a shutdown over the last 6 months because of Democrats on Capitol Hill. It's just despicable. President Trump has been clear since day one. Fund the Department of Homeland Security. Stop playing partisan politics with the American people's paychecks.
Okay, last topic here. The SAVE Act. It appears inevitable that it does not have the 60 votes in the Senate. On that note, back to True Social, the president said this just yesterday. He said the Save America Act is one of the most important and consequential pieces of legislation in the history of Congress and America itself. I will never, ever endorse anyone who votes against Save America. Thank you for your attention to this matter. How big of a defeat would this be for the Trump agenda if it does go down the way we expect?
Well, Bill, I do think President Trump would reject the premise of your question that this bill is doomed to fail. He's fighting every day to get the votes needed to pass this country-saving legislation, the Save America Act, which has some of the most common sense proposals ever proposed by either party on Capitol Hill. Voter ID, who could be against it? 90% of Americans support it. No mail-in ballots, which we know create a tremendous amount of fraud in our electoral system, with common sense exceptions, of course, for those in our military and others. No more transgender mutilation surgeries for young minor children. Again, a 90% issue supported by the American people. No men in women's sports. And proof of citizenship to vote. These are common sense proposals that the President of the United States supports because he knows the vast majority of the people in this country support. And every senator on Capitol Hill, both Republican and Democrat, frankly, would be wise to vote for this legislation because it's in the best interest of their constituents and our country to do so. We're working with the Senate on this daily, and the president is a fighter. As you know, he's not going to give up the fight on this one.
Just going back to the start of the first part of that answer, are you predicting victory then?
I'm not predicting victory, but I'm not predicting defeat either. I trust in President Trump and his ability to wheel and deal with senators on Capitol Hill, and he's not given up on this piece of legislation, let me tell you.
Well, I admire the craft, Caroline. Very good. No, I do. Thank you for being
Thanks for
here.
coming
I know
on.
you have a sober occasion this afternoon as you head to Dover. So,
Okay, press secretary. So the next one's 5 minutes. Did you guys ever see the video of Barron Trump Traveler? I can't remember if I ever played that.
End of the 19th century draws some coincidental parallels to modern times. Occultists believe it has exposed a conspiracy involving time travel, Keck, and Donald Trump's family. Coupled with rumors that have already existed as early as 2000, suggest a darker conspiracy theory across the ages. The first two books, titled Barron Trump's Marvelous Underground Journey, written in 1893, and The Travels and Adventures of Little Barron Trump and His Wonderful Dog Bulger, written a year later. Together they tell the story of Wilhelm Heinrich Sebastian von Trump, or more commonly called Barron Trump. Now, these books contain some serious coincidences to the world we live in 120 years later, and to contain some content that simply doesn't fit anywhere. For example, these books mention giant turtles, alternate dimensions, a battle with a big white crane, a dog named Bulger, and a little smiling man frozen in time. Yet some believe the 19th century author Ingersoll Lockwood wrote in metaphors or was using some artistic interpretation, perhaps in an effort to make sense of information he had about the future. For instance, when he speaks about giant turtles, is this actually a manifestation of a person? Could he be referring to Jeb Bush? This book explores several different multiverses supporting the Bernstein universe theory. Some researchers believe Mike Pence, Donald Trump, and his son have traveled hundreds of multiverse timelines just to bring us to this one, the greatest timeline, in which Donald Trump becomes president and not Hillary Clinton. Other theories suggest Trump or his son have been manipulating the timeline not for profit, but to avoid a future catastrophe. More on that later. In the first two books, the boy is an aristocratically wealthy young man living in Castle Trump, who has an unending imagination and a very active brain. Barron is bored of the luxurious lifestyle he has grown accustomed to. One day, his father gives him a manuscript that describes the location of unexplored caves in the Russian Ural Mountains, which is inhabited by a group of people who were chased underground by a terrible disturbance. The manuscript was written by a celebrated thinker and philosopher named the Don. Barron's father refers to Don as a safe and trusty counselor. After a lengthy adventure and interacting with the civilization underground, by the end of the second book, they discover a time machine, and they use it to explore alternative realities and timelines.
Well, that was it. It was only 5 minutes. So I don't know how many saw that one. There's Carol. I tried to wait up for you before Billy Bean, but it was only a 9-minute one. So that was the first interesting video. We got our TikTok lady. We got 2 of them.
Number one, the Democrats have been steadily screaming that the reason they will not sign the bill or open up the government is because they don't want ICE funded. However, ICE is fully funded for the next 2 years. That is just them gaslighting the public. TSA workers have now begun selling their plasma in order to survive because things are so bad with them not getting a paycheck. However, Trump tweeted this morning and said that if y'all don't get on it and do what you're supposed to do, I'm just going to have to send the ICE agents over to the TSA to start doing security. Then things will be going really fast because nobody that ain't supposed to be in this country sure as hell ain't going to be trying to get on an airplane. Iran is sending missiles out, just random rogue, wherever they land missiles left and right. In fact, the fragments of one fell upon, there's no major damage, but you know where the tomb where they say that Jesus was buried, they built a church over this tomb. It's like a big tourist attraction, everything. Well, that's how close it got. The fragments fell right there. I hope they don't sit here and destroy these amazing artifacts of Jesus Christ. So the other thing is Australia has had a major issue with one of their fertilizer plants. It will be shut down for 2 months. Well, how does this affect you think? Well, let me tell you something. This strait that Iran is telling people they better not come through, they better not put their ships through there, they're going to bomb them and all this stuff. The same strait that our UN will not help us protect is the same strait that the fertilizer goes through. Fertilizer is what is used in every country, but is used to bring our groceries to us. This is what's used to grow our vegetables, our fruits, all of the stuff. Australia's plant is shut down for 2 months. The only way we have to get fertilizer now is through that strait.
You hear about that?
And right now, things are so bad. So this isn't only going to affect gas, which right now, from what I'm reading, is about up $1 a gallon. It's going to affect your food prices. It's going to affect them drastically if we can't get this strait open. So ask yourselves why our allies are sitting on their ass and not helping us. You want to know what I think? I think they're waiting for us to basically get the war done, and then they're going to step in and go, oh, we're ready to help you now. We didn't want to get our hands dirty. By the way, the Lloyds of London is holding over $200 million worth of money and assets for the Ayatollah in their bank and refuses to freeze it. Ask yourself why. So, guys, that is your update for today. I hope you guys have a great day. It looks like Trump is trying to wind the war down in Iran. However, they have enough uranium that has been processed or whatever it is they do to it to make it a nuclear weapon. They've got it hid so far down deep in the earth in these tunnels that they have dug. I mean, it is massive. It's like an ant tunnel way down in there. So they have enough of that to build 6 crude nuclear weapons. 6 wet nuclear weapons is enough to fuck us all up. So that is why Trump looks like he is going to have to put boots on the ground. They have got to find these tunnels. They've got to go down in them, and they've got to get this stuff away from there. So, guys, anyway, that's it for today.
Okay, one more.
Want to get involved. You don't want to get your hands dirty with this war in Iran, even though Iran has also unalived your people. And they were 10% away from having a nuclear weapon. And you see how fucking batshit crazy they are right now with them just blowing everything up. I mean, hell, they're hitting their own friends, okay? So y'all might want to apologize and go help our president and take care of this. Being that Iran just struck a base 20 500 miles from Iran. That's right, people. That's right. They've been holding their little trick bag for the very end. So, for all of you that don't want to get involved, that don't want to get your hands dirty, y'all gonna wait, let the United States do all the work and carry all of y'all on our back like we've been doing with every fucking country. That means they can hit Europe. Better buckle up, bitches, or better do the right thing, motherfucker. Hey, NATO and Europe.
Buckle up. I got two of that one guy with the glasses. This one is the 4-minute one. I got a 9-minute one. We'll play it.
Just 5 minutes ago, out of the Los Angeles Times, okay? Out of the Los Angeles Times, 5 minutes ago, this day, March 21st, the year of our Lord, 2026. The next move by Donald Trump will be to take Cuba. Listen to me very carefully. Right up the headlines. Trump wants to take Cuba, but we've done that repeatedly before. Listen to me very carefully. When Obama was president, he was trying to work out differences. It was a mess over there. It has been for years, ever since 1959, 1960. But listen to me very carefully. Donald Trump's next move is to take Cuba. But what it's going to be is a reasonable take of Cuba. They're not going to be coming and going in and start dropping bombs. Cuba is an absolute mess. The lights have been off for several days. More importantly, I reported about this, and here's the thing. TikTok is shutting down all my information. I'm educated. I'm a credentialed member of the press and educated in Marxist political warfare. Part of TikTok's, I guess what you might say, agenda is to shut me down. So you don't hear the news and the information that I'm bringing to you. Listen to me very carefully. Donald Trump is going to do what's called a reasonable takeover of Cuba. Then, once he's got it back on track, for the most part, get the energy back on, get things running as usual, and return property ownership to the people. Remember what Castro did? And maybe a lot of people don't know. That was many years ago, back in 1959, 1960. Castro said, yeah, we're going to do things. Everything's going to be great. It's going to be wonderful. He nationalized the property. He took control of everybody's property, everybody's business, U.S. business and assets, and said, hey, pretty much we got control of this. More importantly, what's going to happen is Donald Trump is going to get control for a short-term control of the country. He's going to take it, get it, I guess what you might say, operating properly, and return the sovereignty of Cuba to the people. And the people will establish a democratic republic of their own. They will have a nation of their own. This is going to be unprecedented in U.S. history in the 21st century and for the last 100 years. More importantly, I want folks to understand what is happening with Donald Trump. This is about a global struggle for the balance of power on Earth. Our hemisphere has been under attack by the Chinese Communist Party, and they have, for the most part, trying to get control of the movement of goods around the planet. Donald Trump has just now averted them and checkmated China with Iran, with Venezuela, and now his next step is to take control, short-term control of Cuba, get it running properly, put some money in there, and return the sovereignty of the country of Cuba to the people and let them establish a democratic republic of their own. I don't think I've ever seen anything more courageous, more wonderful, in the 73 years I've been on this planet, on this earth. We truly have a president that wants to help this world,
Chico,
help
say
America.
somebody.
I really can't say much more. Watch as this plays out. Watch as this develops.
Okay, update from what's going on with Cuba now, the 9-minute one.
In California, Saturday, March 21st, the year of our Lord, 2026. Matt Walsh was just talking about the construction of the California Annenberg Wildlife Crossing over the 101 freeway here just down the road from my house. I've been underneath that crossing, and it's still not completed after 4 years of construction and over $100 million, and that's being cost that has been used to build it. Over 100 million. I'm a contractor. I build stuff. I built homes. I built power plants. I built skyscrapers. I drilled for oil. This is an absolute joke. That wildlife crossing bridge is a stunning joke. The world is laughing. The construction world is laughing at Governor Newsom and this bridge, this wildlife crossing bridge. It is a stunning joke. More importantly, this is why is $100 million, over $100 million is being wasted of your tax dollars to build a wildlife crossing bridge over the 101 freeway here in California. Listen to me very carefully. This is a stunning joke of immense proportions. There's much more that you can read into this. Matt Walsh was talking about comparisons. The Empire State Building in New York City took 1 year to build. The Empire State Building, 1 year. Donald Trump built a 58-story Trump Tower in the heart of Manhattan in 3 years and met all the regulations. Ladies and gentlemen, here in California, we're seeing Governor Newsom. Now, the contractors and people that I know in the local and state governments notice what's happening. This is part of a Marxist machine plan to bankrupt California. Listen to me very carefully. When China can build, listen to me very carefully. This is very, very serious. When the CCP, the Chinese Communist Party, can build 800 miles of high-speed rail in 3 years, 800 miles, the first leg of their high-speed rail system from Beijing to China, they built 800 miles in 3 years. The bridge has been under construction and is not completed after 4 here in California. It is a stunning joke. There's a reason why this bridge is an example of what's happening here in California. The Marxist machine, specifically in California, is basically, and this is where their plan is, to bankrupt this country financially so that they can move in and take ownership of this country at the right time. What is going to happen is California, in fact, like I was saying, there's people that I know in local and state government here in California that see that Governor Newsom is moving the money around to try to keep the doors open. California is insolvent. It is wasting money in the hundreds of billions of dollars. And much of this money is, the homeless, $24 billion, for homelessness. They can't even figure out where it went. Tens of billions of dollars they can't account for. This is part of a plan. I've talked with people in government, local and state government. He's moving money around to keep the doors open so that by the time he leaves office, California will be so insolvent, it will have to file what's called sovereign default. It will either be able to keep the doors open or pay the interest on the money it has to borrow to keep the doors open, but it won't be able to do both. It will close its doors on Friday night and not open up back again on Monday. And they will restructure the debt. That's what's called, that's what's the definition of sovereign default. They will restructure the debt, and basically that will cascade, not just in America, but around the world. This is part of the Marxist plan to what's called the Great Reset, to get back to ground zero, or basically take everybody back to a budget system, living on the money that they have. We have a credit system. Everybody's in so much debt right now, and especially 26 states are insolvent in this country. California leads the pack, and California will go down. We don't know exactly when, but it is inevitable. It cannot continue on this path, and the Marxist machine know it. And the Democrat Marxist machine in California is writing checks like they still got money in the bank. They keep having to borrow money. This is on purpose. They're tax. Look at what they're doing. They're trying to tax everything that you have, so that they can keep the doors open. They're trying. Well, we need to generate some more income. They know what's happening. The economists and contractors here in America, and many of the people in California know what's happening in California. This is I guess what you might say, a goal to bankrupt this country. And here's the best way I can tell you. Biden and the Marxists within his administration purposely opened the doors, opened the borders to flood this country with migrants and put such a strain financially on this country that it would bankrupt the country. They didn't have enough time. But look at the inflation rate during the Biden administration. It skyrocketed, and we're seeing the ramifications now.
Chico.
What's probably going to happen is California will be the first to file what's called sovereign default, and the Annenberg Wildlife Crossing Bridge is a perfect example of how they're just wasting money. They don't give a damn about how much money they cost. They don't give a damn. They will lie. And these Marxists and these Democrats, these Governor Newsoms, these Kamala Harrises, these Adam Schiffs, these Chuck Schumers, anytime they open their mouth, they're lying to you. They don't care. They don't care if you know they're lying. They know they're lying. And they don't care if you know they're lying. They're just putting it out there because they know what inevitably is going to happen. We're going to have to live in austerity for a number of years once this goes down. California will be the first to file sovereign default, and we'll all go back to living basically on a budget for a number of years, 3 to 5 years. Then we can get back to basically a solvent system, very little credit, get rid of the debt that we're all under. And guess what? It's going to be tough. But watch what happens. I'm a builder. I see it. I can see it. And plus, I've studied this. I studied economics in college. Governor Newsom knows this. The Marxist machine is trying to bankrupt this country. That's the goal. And basically take control and ownership of this country. If you go to Preserving America, EPAC.com, watch our documentaries about the Marxist political warfare being waged on this country and what they're trying to do. The Marxists want to bankrupt this country and then take ownership when they are in the White House, and they're trying to basically take control of the House and the Senate in November and drive Donald Trump out. This is war. Make no mistake.
Okay, we got two of those. I got one of the older ladies clip talk about the reason why Trump was Tucker. It's 4 minutes. I don't think I played this. Have I, Eagle?
Interview last week. That ignited a media and social media firestorm centered on the divisions in the Trump movement about Israel. Trump's critics, including many former supporters like Carlson, claim that Trump is controlled by Israel despite massive evidence to the contrary. I'm Barbara Boyd, and I've seen my share of cyber ops directed at splitting up organizations in my 50 years in politics. One of the most used tools is the question, where are you going to be when your leader dies? What's the plan for succession? Today, I'm going to first outline President Trump's actual foreign policy with respect to Israel and more generally. Far from listening to the neocons and Christian Zionists of the old Republican Party, he is demolishing their structures, including the influence of their British masters. Then I'm going to discuss the reason for Tucker Carlson's current disorientation. But before we get started, if you like this video, please like and share it. It increases our reach. Let's start with Tulsi Gabbard's declaration that Trump has ended all regime change operations, which in most cases led to conflicts that never ended. Here she is discussing this at a forum in Bahrain.
The old Washington way of thinking is something we hope is in the rearview mirror and something that has held us back for too long. For decades, our foreign policy has been trapped in a counterproductive and endless cycle of regime change or nation building. The results, trillions spent, countless lives lost, and in many cases, a creation of greater security threats, the rise of Islamist terrorist groups like ISIS. President Trump was elected by the American people to put an end to this. And from day one, he has showed a very different way to conduct foreign policy, one that is pragmatic, that is deal-driven, with a very realistic approach focused on protecting American security and prosperity while engaging with the world on terms that actually make sense. During his first term, the president brokered the Abraham Accords, this historic pact between Israel, the UAE, Bahrain, Morocco, and Sudan that came from staying laser-like focused on shared interests, economic prosperity, counterterrorism, technological innovation.
During the first 100 days of Trump, the CIA's regime change outfit, the National Endowment for Democracy, was defunded and forced to go to court to get its funds unfrozen. USAID, also a key player in regime change, was shut down completely. For the first time since the end of World War II, Trump's official defense strategy, written by Deputy Director of Defense Eldridge Colby, does not name China or Russia as the main targets of the Pentagon. Instead, it focuses on the internal threat posed by the terrorists who crossed our border under Biden and the thriving business of the drug cartels in our nation's towns and cities. It is also focused on stopping the drug cartels in Latin America from transporting their deadly poison into the United States and, most importantly, shutting down their finances. The America First defense policy prioritizes building a Golden Dome missile defense for the United States while modernizing U.S. nuclear forces. This throws millions of dollars already approved by Congress to fight Russia and China. Tucker Carlson.
Okay, the next two one are DJ. I think these are new ones. I'm not sure. Or then we'll play the first 20-minute one. YouTube lady had another Walmart incident. God damn it. And this is about 4 minutes. Say hi to everybody, Chico. Hey. Hey. Who's that? Who's that?
They showed the cannons. They showed the cannons on the 20th with President Trump. but they showed President Trump at Arlington on January the 19th this year. Why? See, they made January the 20th, 2021 an outlier. So on January the 19th, everybody focused on President Trump at Arlington. Did you see any cannons? No, you didn't. January the 20th, 2025, as soon as President Trump raised his right hand, even though he was inside a building, as soon as he's raised his right hand, the camera, the theater, the production showed you the 4 cannons in the National Capital Region, not in Arlington. 4 cannons. So now, for the target audience, you have one, what you thought was an inauguration in United States history, that has 3 cannons at Arlington and 4 cannons at Joint Base Andrews. That's why all those people in 2022 and 2023, you look stupid. You know who you are. Some of you are veterans. That's even worse. I told you, you're going to look dumb. It's better to remain silent and be thought of a fool than to open your mouth and remove all doubt. Now, guess what? I have you screenshot. Sucks to suck, don't it? Before I went viral, one of my sergeants said, Derek, you have a unique personality and you're a cool dude and you're just you're just fun to be around. And you just have that personality. And he was like, man, if you ever get a bigger platform, you need to honor all of our fallen, especially the ones that we know. And I'll never forget that. I'll never forget my sergeant saying that. And I wear this bracelet right here, this memorial bracelet for one of our fallen, one of our sergeants. And he's the one who used to walk around and say, sucks to suck. So that's where I get it from. Sucks to suck, don't it? See, if you knew what you're supposed to know, then you wouldn't look atrocious whenever it comes out. And if you would know what I know, which is all public, what ain't public is the intellect and how to put it together. However, but if you knew that and you put that together, then you'd be well ahead of everything before it rolls out. And then you also won't be one of those that looks dumb in the comment box if it's you, right? So you can know. It's all public information. It's all public laws and orders. What's not public is the intellect, the initiative, and the drive to want to put it together. But it's all there. Everything's there. It's most certainly there. But everybody's still in that target audience. Not everybody. I got a lot of good followers, but there's a lot of people still in that target audience. You think it's real time, or you're just hanging on thinking that something big's just going to, just do like that. And you're going to be like, oh, there it is. Now I know, now I'm really going to follow Derek. And no, you got to study it, read it. They had to lay this out one by one, piece by piece. There's so much trash, there's so much garbage that the deep state was doing that if they laid it all out in a month even, I don't think they could do it in a month, but if they could, it would just overwhelm the target audience who don't even know how to think for themselves, can't critically think, can't strategically think, can't even think at all, some. So it had to be done this way. But see, so much people have forgotten about Hillary, Bill, and all they see is what mainstream's doing. And you're not looking at what you're supposed to know. Hillary, Bill, they're supposed to be retired to the average person. So what would be conflicting to their schedules that they can't do a deposition? Nothing. Nothing will be a confliction of their schedule. Nothing at all. Right? Now, someone could say that's an excuse. Okay, we'll go with that. But at the same time, again, it's showing you all this is strategically done. This quote unquote shutdown, strategically done, because if you know what a military operation is, if you know what a military occupation is, if you know what a continuity government is, you know what all these things are, you know that we're still in it. Because President Trump, they validated it daily. Letitia James just happens to be one who validated it with the word capitulation. So you got to lose and divorce your emotions and feelings and not react to the actual story of Letitia James and go, listen to what she said, because when she said capitulation, validation right there. So the people who were already going, that trash, she did this and that, you're already lost, right? You're already trapped. But if you're sitting there listening to every word and you divorce your feelings and emotions and you just listen to the words and just pretend you didn't see who it was and you hear a key word in there, bingo, capitulation. January this year, January the 19th, they showed the cannons.
Okay, I don't know if you guys saw that one. Let's go ahead. Let's get this Walmart one out of the way.
It's the same. One man wants. I need an adventure. So Ken goes to Expedia, the one place you.
Your name? You just battered a law enforcement out. I didn't do anything. Yeah, you just charged at me. And you I stood up like this. Yeah, now you're getting in my face again.
19 minutes.
Anyway.
All right, everyone. Today we're taking a look at how someone turns a simple shoplifting accusation into a full-blown criminal highlight reel. So this woman, she walks into the grocery store, she fills up a shopping cart and tries to walk out with it after only having paid for a Dr. Pepper. And then when she gets caught, she decides that the best thing to do is to just simply argue with everyone and accuse the cops of racism. And then when they try to arrest her, she resists and ends up kicking an officer in the face. And when you start thinking that it can't get any worse, it does. Because her kids are standing there watching this entire thing go down.
Hey, police, go with them. You're not resisting them because you're detained for shoplifting. Go over there.
I wasn't even, I just paid for it.
Get in the office.
Come on.
Your ID.
I don't have it on me. It's in the car. And I don't even
take
have
the
it.
bag off. Take the bag off.
For what?
Take the bag off.
What are you doing?
Put your hands behind your back.
For what? Heather.
Stop
Heather,
resisting.
he's
You're
trying
going to
to put
catch
my
more
head, he's
charges.
putting my head behind my back, Heather. I don't know, bro.
Stop.
They're embarrassing me.
Stop
Heather, go
resisting.
get my kids, please, because they're embarrassing me. I didn't do anything. I'm
Sit down. You're going to jail.
For what?
You resisted me and them. Sit down.
I didn't resist
Sit
anybody.
down.
What are you talking
Shut up.
about? I didn't even do anything to resist anything. What the hell? Pour it out. Pour it out. There's nothing in there.
Oh, okay.
I already
Stole
paid
that
for
too.
that.
No, she paid for that.
That's the only thing she paid for. Call the people that are
I
in
don't
the
care.
store,
Sit
'cause
down.
My kids can't
Sit
be in
down.
here with them. With us.
Sit down.
Literally, she's
Sit
trying
down.
to answer
Sit
the phone.
down. You're doing this. You're acting a fool in front of them.
No, I'm not.
Yes,
I
you
didn't do
are.
anything
Shut
in
up.
front of them.
Shut up.
Heather, we're on the grocery side by the wine. Connie and Kat is screaming.
Nobody's
because
coming in here.
They're pushing me. Come get my kids. They're doing crazy shit to me, man. They're doing crazy shit to me right now. Y'all give me a hug because they don't like black people. Give me a hug.
No, you should be embarrassed because you're acting like a shitty parent.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are. You're stealing in front of your kids and you're going to jail.
I will get my credit card out and pay for everything right now if you want me to do that. But can you please not make my kids stand right here? Like, I promise to God, I will do that. If that's the issue. It wasn't swiped because it broke or something. Don't cry, it's okay. I did not grab you, bro.
I have you on video right here, grabbing my arm. You even cut my finger.
You pushed me.
I did not touch.
Oh, my heart. Oh, this little girl's crying. Okay. If you're going to commit a crime that could result in you getting arrested, why are you doing it with your kids? Why are you doing it with your kids? Do these people not give two shits about the effect that it's going to have on their children in the event that they get caught? Or do they just think that they're just so incredibly above the law that they won't get caught? Or that they're just so good they're not going to get caught? Especially in a place like Walmart. Walmart has some of the best cameras, facial recognition. They can see everything, everywhere, all the time, all at once. And people think that they're just going to go into Walmart and shoplift. Nope. They'll catch you. They will catch you. And if you get away with it once, they'll catch you the next time. And if you get away with it again, that just means that they are stacking up charges to get you on grand larceny. I'm surprised that he hasn't taken off her Apple Watch yet because her friend is literally calling and she's talking to her. So she disconnected the call. The friend called back. She answered it with her Apple Watch and the cop is just letting her talk to her friend. I can't believe he hasn't taken it off of her yet. And I understand that she doesn't want her children to see this. Her children are standing there watching this entire thing go down, but you are the one that put them in this situation, ma'am. You are the one. And now she's starting to scream about how they don't like black people. And her children are hearing this. It has nothing to do with the color of her skin. It has to do with the fact that she's a fucking thief.
You pushed me! I did not touch you! Bro, yes you did! Bring the camera up!
You grabbed my arm and I never once
And you
touched
pushed me just right
never
there!
once touched you. My hands were on my phone and on the car.
Can you take them outside, please?
Okay, it's okay.
We're not gonna keep talking.
What do you mean?
I'm taking this off of you because we're not gonna have somebody on the phone while you're under arrest.
You're not gonna do what? You're not gonna do what? I'm sorry?
You're not talking to anybody.
Why are you acting like that towards me like I did something aggressive? I didn't do anything
You are.
aggressive.
You're resisting.
I didn't resist anything.
Okay, well,
What did I resist?
it's all on camera.
What did I resist?
Okay. We're gonna play stupid.
What did I resist though?
I'm done talking.
Let me know what I
You're just
resisted.
going to jail. It's okay. That's all you need.
What did I resist?
Okay.
If you want me to pay the cash money, I can pay cash instead
You're not
of
paying
EBT.
nothing because you had the chance to do it and you didn't.
I didn't.
Yep.
EBT wouldn't go through.
Cool. And so you walked out of the store with all their. Excuse me?
Can I get the car keys real fast?
You got your ID on you? Sit down.
For her car keys?
Sit down.
No,
Sit down.
because I paid for
All right. Well,
No, I just need
I'm not releasing any property to you unless
You're gonna do what the they're asking.
Hold on, wait.
Sit down.
I love it. He just slammed the door in the friend's face. I mean, she walked in there like, you know, she felt entitled enough to walk in there and be like, I need the car keys. He slammed that door in her face. But okay, so identification. So does he just want to know who is taking possession of her stuff or who has the kids? I don't know. I mean, I guess I can understand why he needs identification before releasing any of her property to her. But obviously, it's the person that the shoplifter wants to have her kids. So isn't it on the shoplifter to take responsibility for who she's giving her car keys to? I mean, I don't know. I don't know how that whole thing works, but I love the fact that he slammed the door in her face. That was excellent.
At this point, I'm about to resist. At this point,
And
I'm
you're
going
going to
to
get
tell
thrown on the
anything.
ground. Sit down. Sit down. Sit down.
Put me on the ground. Put me on the ground. Put me on the ground.
Sit down.
They're choking me. They're choking me.
I got video.
Hey, Court, send me another unit.
Ain't no one choking.
He just put his hand around my throat.
You just
He just put his hand around my throat. Are you serious?
We have cameras all over.
So pull it up then. He just put his hand around my throat. No, he just put his hand around my throat. What is your name?
You just battered a law enforcement out.
I didn't do anything.
Yeah, you just charged at me. And you
I
told
stood
me.
up like this.
Yeah, now you're getting in my face again.
You're taking
Sit
me to
down.
jail anyway.
She's being disrespectful.
You're taking me to jail anyway. I don't live in Florida anyway.
So
You think I care?
you're taking.
I don't care.
Let me
I don't
understand
live
this.
here.
Hey, let me understand this. You're going to jail anyway, so add more crimes. Is that what you're doing?
I'm going to
You're
jail
gonna be
anyway.
more-
You're going to be a bitch anyway. You're being a bitch since you walked up to me because I didn't resist anything.
You resisted
You're being a
them.
bitch.
Walked away.
I didn't
Maybe
resist
you resisted
anything.
me. Yes,
I
you
didn't
did.
resist anything with
Okay.
you.
Okay.
You said police. I turned around. Straight up. I did.
Yeah, and then when I put you in handcuffs, you pulled away.
No, I did not.
Sure.
We were already in this
Sit
room.
down. Sit down.
I didn't have to walk in this room.
Okay. Sit down.
What do you mean?
Shut the fuck up and sit down.
Don't tell me to shut
Sit
the
down.
fuck up.
Sit down. Sit down.
Kill me.
All right.
Kill me. Kill me. Kill me. I have
Watch
kids
out.
crying. I just need. Oh, Lord.
Everybody knows that the place to find a place is a
Wild one, this one is.
I moved your meeting, and your car will be here in 5.
Perfect. Look at this little beauty I found in the garden.
Nice snake.
You're not gonna let me stand up? Bro, let me stand up,
No.
bro!
Then stand up and stop dead weighting yourself.
Shut the f up, cause you racist or something, bro. You aggressing me the whole
Thanks,
time.
Bill.
Record everything.
They're all racist.
Record everything.
Calm down.
Get in the car.
Did you record him dragging me
Get
on
in the
floor?
car. Get in the car. Cool. Come record this. Yeah. Come record her resisting.
Cause you talking to you doing crazy ass. Come here.
Stop kicking me.
Oh, stop pushing me then.
Get in the car.
Let me get in.
mean, I guess that the one thing that she did prove was that she can resist a whole lot harder than she had been up to that point. Wow. I mean, honestly and truly, when they were first, bringing her in, I didn't really see a lot of resisting. I mean, is there something missing in the video? Did we not see this part of the body cam? Was the body cam not included? Did I just completely overlook it? I don't know. Let me know down in the comments if you saw her being, resistant from the get-go. It didn't really look like she was resisting to me. It looked like she's kind of like argumentative, like, no, I didn't. No, I didn't shoplift. Like, is that considered resisting? I always, considered resisting arrest like what we just saw, like full on fighting, kicking, and all of this. So, yeah, well, she kept saying, put me on the ground. Put me on the ground. Well, they put her ass on the ground and then they tossed her ass in the back of that police car. Careful what you wish for.
Can you give me his ID so I can get some stuff? I just need my new pedestrian code. You're an asshole, racist ass bitch. That's what you are.
I think you're racist.
No, you are. Because I didn't do anything until you aggressively handed me.
Okay.
They didn't do nothing until you aggressively handed me.
And then you kicked me in the face.
Nothing. I didn't kick you.
Okay.
She was hitting me and pulling me and sliding me on the ground. What do you mean?
Yeah, because you dead weighted. You're resisting again.
Are you serious?
Yep.
Where's my shit? Where is my stuff? Where is my stuff? Heather, they won't give me my stuff! They won't give me my stuff, Heather! Can I talk to you a second?
No.
Can I not get the... Heather, please give my stuff! They won't give it to me! My purse, my phone, my watch, everything! Ariel, please be quiet. I need somebody to get my stuff! I'm trying. I'm getting paid in 4 weeks and I need Rara to get me out and I will pay him back! Calm down and be quiet. I need Rara to get me out. I will give him the money. What, Ariel, be quiet. No! Aggressively manhandle me and think I was supposed to sit out and let you because you're police?
Okay.
You think I'm supposed to just let you manhandle me?
I hope you're ready to be a felon.
Handle me? No!
Mm-hmm.
Just because you're a police? Ariel, you want me to call your mom? No! Okay. Can you tell me what she's charged with?
Battery LEO, resisting with violence.
Battery and resisting?
And then shoplifting and resisting retail merchant. So,
Okay. So 4 different charges?
Yeah.
Because we leave in 3 days, so how is that?
I wouldn't be able to give her. I wouldn't be able to give her a citation if she was cooperative because she's not from around here.
Because she's not from around here?
Yeah, she's from Texas.
Okay. So it's going to be longer than 3 days is what you're saying?
It could be. I mean, I don't know. She'll see a judge in the morning.
Oh, okay. In the morning.
Good. Yeah. Can you just stand by with her? She is violent, so I got to go in there. She's got family here. I got to collect some evidence. So who else? Her, and there was another gentleman here, and then she had 2 children. So I put her in handcuffs, and she's like, I'm already going to jail. She just stands up, gets in my face, pushes me with her chest, and I'm like pushing her back down. So I drag her out here. I'm like, all right. And she dead weights and then kicks me in the face while we're back here. Nice.
And the craziest part of all of this is, that she's sitting in the back of that police car thinking that she's a victim. She's thinking that she's a victim of racist cops and that she did nothing wrong. She clearly did something wrong. She tried to walk out with an entire cart full of merchandise, an entire cart full. But yet they're the bad ones for throwing her to the ground and wrongfully arresting her because they're racist. Yeah. No, I think that the whole shoplifting thing had something to do with it.
Good chunk out of my finger.
Yeah, she kicked me when I got her out in the car. You okay?
Yeah, just cut me.
Where is it at?
Right here.
I'll have to take a picture. What did she do? How did that happen?
She, at this point right here, where I'm right here, I have a hold of the buggy, and then she grabs a hold of my wrist. When she does it, my finger gets sliced by the buggy. Stings like a motherfucker.
We make trading simple. Trade what you want, how you want, with Tasty Trade.
We knew our last Verbo was going to be incredible. We didn't know the hot tub was broken. But thanks to Verbo Care and 24/7 Live.
We want videos of her resisting. We have the one in here twice.
If you could save all of that,
Oh yeah, everything's getting saved.
And she admitted to everything. I didn't have to read her Miranda. She said she admitted to stealing. She admitted to the battery. She was doing it as she was.
Good job, man.
Yeah, no, I don't understand. Like, she's like, get my kids out of here so she can act in school even more.
Yeah, she wants to keep recording with a trespasser too.
Well, let me roll down the window so you can just tell her not welcome back on the property.
So you're not going to be allowed back one year. About you telling me nothing.
You've been trespassed.
I don't think.
Can you just go ahead and just refresh my mind?
Okay.
So she tried to pay with the EBT.
Yeah. So she's at the self-check.
Yeah.
She scanned stuff. She was concealing stuff under the bags.
Okay.
She had the cancel it. That went to a register where she only paid for the Dr. Pepper and then walked out.
Okay.
And when I was over there, she grabbed my arm and.
Can I take a picture of your?
I have to go home.
It's fine. She grabbed this arm.
She grabbed this arm and pushed down.
Okay.
Girl, ain't nobody do that ass wank.
I got video of it.
Just give it to them.
I'm not giving them anything.
You don't need to take it to jail.
Okay. Well, I can't take it all to jail, so it'll be turned in as property.
You can't do that.
I sure can.
Do you want me to hang out here until you're done?
That should be fine. She's just gonna be gone.
The whole car needs to go.
I can't. I don't.
Listen, I'm okay with releasing the car, but I have to know who you are, at least.
Well, and I'll give you everything.
Okay, that's why I was asking you over there.
No,
That's why I
you
was like, I'm not releasing anything.
I don't have
to you.
my ID.
What's your name?
Heather.
Heather what? I kind of get now why she want her kids out, because so she can act up and resist arrest in front of her, without it being in front of her kid at least.
Our kids here?
They were here, and then she was like, yeah, let them go. I let them go, and then she starts resisting.
You said I resisted before, so what do you mean? You said I resisted before, so what is it?
So you resisted a retail merchant.
You're literally lying on me.
Okay, and then you resisted arrest, and then you resisted arrest out here, and then you battery LEO when you got in my car, kicked me in the face. Yeah, it's my fault that you stole, right? You admitted to stealing before I even got you in the office.
Make sure you turn in that camera.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's going to be turned in.
Is the groceries that she bought, is that being kept?
She didn't buy anything but a Dr. Pepper.
She
stole everything.
On her receipt?
Yeah, here's her purse.
So her friend sounds a little bit surprised. Her friend's like, okay, well, give me the groceries that she did buy, because they kind of mentioned that she had pretended like she was going to use her EBT card, her food stamps, because earlier, so I didn't want to pause it too much because we're like taking it all in, but she had said that she would pay cash for the groceries and not use her EBT card. So she kind of, sounded like she knew that maybe cash would be more powerful than trying to just pay with her food stamps. And so her friend is now acting surprised, like, hey, can I have all the groceries that she did pay for? And the cop's like, bitch, she only paid for a bottle of Dr. Pepper. She didn't pay for any of those groceries. And the really sad thing about that is that she has food stamps. She has an EBT card, and she was still just going to shoplift all that food? Seriously? It's not like that food was going to be coming out of her own pocket anyway.
I cannot release. I just want you to understand, I cannot release anything if I don't know who you are. It don't make any sense.
No, it's cool.
And then she comes back after me like she's been doing this whole time and says, oh, it's stolen. It's stolen. Well, I'm just letting you know my point of view. It's stolen, and then she tries to come after the police department while I handed it to you, but I never got your name. And then they look at me like I'm the stupid.
Right, yeah.
So she went to a register, she scanned everything, there was an issue, and then they voided the transaction. She went to another register where she was supposed to ring everything up. Well, she only pays for a Dr. Pepper, and then she walks straight out the door. Before I got here, they tried to confront her, and then she tried to walk away from them. And then that's when she started this whole fiasco. So.
Okay. This is everything I need, though, right? This is all her stuff she had with her?
Yep.
Okay, cool. And then you said one more time, the county?
The Scambia County Jail.
That's Scambia. You don't remember that?
Scambia.
Oh, Scambia.
Scambia.
Love you.
Ariel was charged with battery on a peace officer, resisting with violence, larceny, resisting the recovery of stolen property, and battery. She posted bond totaling $5,000, indicating she was released 2 days later. Court records indicate she recently entered a plea of no contest to the 5 charges since all her actions were caught on camera. As part of the plea, if she stays out of trouble, she will likely avoid any felony conviction.
If she stays out of trouble. If her friend clearly said she's got an anger problem. So wouldn't be surprised if she got herself into a felony.
Okay, the wild Walmart issue. All right, what should we got up next here? I had something up here. Oh. God dang it. Hang on a second. Okay, this one's under 5. Did we play this one?
Housing stock.
Well, I have a few questions about this. As a former hedge fund manager in 2004, and I don't want you to go into any long details about this, but did you write a letter to investors raising concerns about the impact of tariffs, writing that, quote, tariffs are inflationary? Did you say that at that time, yes or no?
No.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we have a New York Times article that, agrees that you
New
said
York
that.
Times.
Then last summer, when you testified before a Senate committee, you said, and I quote, "There is no inflation. Tariffs are not being passed on to consumers." You were quite definitive, and even claimed that critics had, quote, "tariff derangement syndrome." Well, those comments are at odds with the statement you made to
Guys, remember this
investors
one?
that tariffs are inflationary. Again,
Yeah, we
I want to be
had a
clear.
clip
So
on
just let
that,
me
Maria.
ask you, are tariffs inflationary? Yes or no?
According to the
Hey,
San
sent me
Francisco
a
Federal Reserve, with
video.
150 years of data,
Yes or no?
tariffs do not cause inflation. San Francisco Federal
Well, last
Reserve
November,
Congresswoman,
as the Trump administration finally began to realize
150 years
that
of data.
affordability issues in America are not a hoax, you told Fox News that the government was going to reduce tariffs on goods like coffee and bananas, and that doing so would, quote, bring the prices down very quickly. Mr. Secretary, why was that announcement even necessary? If tariffs aren't inflationary, and as you and the president like to say, are paid for by foreign countries,
With another one.
by the foreign country, a tariff on coffee or bananas shouldn't raise the price of either for American consumers. Well, that's the Trump logic, but that isn't reality. It did raise prices across the board, and you know it. I think you knew back in July also. The real question is, why would you even impose a tariff on a good that a country doesn't grow or make, as that would only serve to punish the American consumer? Now, as you know, this committee has taken a bipartisan approach to addressing another real affordability crisis. Housing. Rents are too high. There aren't enough houses. However, one clear reason that the housing crisis has grown worse is that you and the rest of the Trump administration levied tariffs on housing production goods like lumber and steel, as well as appliances. These tariffs will result in half.
Lumber is
Reclaiming my time. You don't get to talk.
Lumber is at a
Reclaiming my
5-year
time.
low, Congresswoman.
Reclaiming my time.
Let's just have the facts, ma'am.
Reclaiming my time. Thank you. However, one clear reason that the housing crisis has gone worse is that you and the rest of the Trump administration levied tariffs on housing production goods like lumber and steel, as I said, as well as appliances. These tariffs will result in 500,000 fewer homes built at a time when we need more homes built, not less. Trump single-handedly made housing more expensive. And once again, you know it, as Axios has reported that you were planning to lift tariffs on housing production goods. In addition, the unlawful campaign the Trump administration has waged with ICE and Border Patrol, terrorizing American communities, has also harmed home construction across America. So I ask you, Secretary Benson, will you be the voice of reason in the administration and urge Trump to stop waging a war on American consumers and on housing or for affordability and putting the economy at risk? Yes or no? Do I have to explain?
Representative
Will you be the voice? Will you be the voice? Will you be the voice?
Of
Will you be the
inflation.
voice of reason?
And
Will you be the voice of reason?
a study
Yes or
from
no?
Wharton University
Reclaiming my
has
time.
shown
Reclaiming my
the
time.
biggest reason for the
Reclaiming
housing
my
increase
time.
was the mass
Reclaiming my time.
unfettered immigration.
Mr. Chair, will you
let
let
in
him
between
know
10
that
and
when I
20
asked
million
him time
immigrants
to
Time does
took
belong
up
to
the housing
gentlewoman
stock.
Gulliver.
10 and 20 million immigrants
Can you
took
shut
up the
him up?
housing stock of working Americans. And can you maintain some level of dignity?
Gentlelady's time has expired.
No, my time has not expired.
Your time has expired. The
The
gentleman.
gentleman took up my time.
Wow. See, like right there, Democrat thinks that they're above the law right there. I want more time. She thinks she can get all her time back. So do you remember when Trump said a long time ago about the news going down? Maybe this might be something here. You guys see this here? CBS News shutters its storied radio news service after nearly a century ending. God dang it. Come on. Still. All right, so why did Trump does this when someone passes away? Bob Mueller now. What's he trying to say? Shoot. Okay, the next one's about 9 minutes, and then we'll get back to Q video. This is terrible. One here next.
And gut-wrenching testimony ever delivered to the halls of Congress.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members. I'm speaking for myself today and not in any official capacity. In 1991, my parents and I went to have lunch at a local cafeteria with a friend of mine that was managing the cafeteria that day. We'd finished eating when all of a sudden this guy drove a pickup truck through the floor-to-ceiling window. It came crashing in and ended up maybe 15 feet from me. Of course, we thought it was an accident. And I rose up and began to go help the people that he had knocked over. But then we heard gunshots. And my father and I immediately got down on the floor. We turned the table up in front of us. My mom got down behind us. And the shooting continued. Now, at that time in 91, we weren't seeing these mass shootings that we're seeing now. So I was waiting for him to say something like, all right, everybody put your wallets up on the table. Or I thought maybe it was a hit. Maybe there was somebody important in there. But the shooting continued. I'm going to tell you, it took a good 45 seconds, which is an eternity, to realize that the guy was simply going to walk around take aim, pull the trigger, go to the next person, take aim, pull the trigger. He was executing people. When I did realize it, I thought, I've got him. I've got this guy. I reached for my purse that was on the floor next to me, realized I had a perfect place to prop my arm. He was up. Everybody else in the restaurant was down. And then I realized that a few months earlier, I had made the stupidest decision of my life. I had begun leaving my gun out in my car because I did what most normal people would do. I wanted to be a law-abiding citizen. I didn't want to get caught with a gun and maybe lose my license to practice. I remember looking around and thinking, well, great, what do I do now? Throw a salt shaker at him?
What do you guys think of this one?
At that point, my dad took my attention and he started to raise up. He said, I've got to do something. I've got to do something. He's going to kill everybody in here. And I tried to hold him down by the shirt collar. But when he saw what he thought was a chance, he went at the guy. You have to understand, though, a man with a gun in a crowded room has complete control. My dad covered maybe half the distance, and the guy just turned and shot him in the chest. My dad went down in the aisle maybe 7 or 8 feet from me, and he was still alive and still conscious, but as dreadful as this may sound, I saw the wound, and I basically wrote him off at that point. The good news is that it made the gunman change directions slightly. Instead of coming directly toward me, he went off to my left. And at that point, somebody way at the back of the restaurant broke out another window. And I remember hearing that crash and thinking, my God, here comes another one. But instead, I saw people getting out that way. So I looked up over the top of the table. When the gunman had his back to me, I stood up. I grabbed my mother by the shirt collar. I said, come on, we got to run. We got to get out of here. And my feet grew wings. I made it out that back window, ran into my manager friend that was coming out a side door, and he said, thank God you're all right. And I said, yeah, but Dad's been hit and it's really bad. And I turned to say something to my mother and realized that she hadn't followed me out. Now, to wrap the story up, the police officers, several of them were patients of mine, told me a few days later they filled in the gaps. They said that they were actually one building away in a conference. And in an odd twist of gun control fate, the hotel where they were having their conference, the manager there didn't want them to be wearing their guns and potentially offending any of her clients or customers. So she had asked them to leave their guns in their cars. So precious minutes were lost while they retrieved their guns from their locked cars. They said that when they got over there and worked their way in through the broken window behind the pickup truck, they didn't know who the gunman was. There were bodies everywhere. But they said they did see a woman out in the aisle on her knees cradling a mortally wounded man. They said they watched as some 30-something-year-old man walked up to her. They said she looked up at him. He put a gun to her head. She looked down at her husband, and he pulled the trigger. That's how they knew who the gunman was. They said all they had to do was fire a shot into the ceiling, and the guy immediately rabbited to a back bathroom alcove area. He exchanged a little gunfire with them and then put a bullet in his own head. 23 people were killed that day, including my parents. It didn't occur to me at the time, but Mom wasn't going anywhere without Dad. They had just had their 47th wedding anniversary. So you may think that I was angry at the guy that did it. But the truth is, that's like being mad at a rabid dog. You don't be mad at a rabid dog. You take it behind the barn and you kill it, but you don't be mad at it. But I've got to tell you, I was mad as heck at my legislators because I honestly believe that they legislated me out of the right to protect myself and my family. And I would much rather be sitting in jail right now with a felony offense on my head and have my parents alive to know their grandchildren. With that, I thank you.
If this doesn't set your blood on fire, nothing will. Let's get into it. I look at Susanna Hupp and I don't just see a witness, I see every single one of us. On October 16th, 1991, she did exactly what the government told her to do. She left her weapon in the car. She followed the law. And because she was a good girl, she was forced to sit there, 15 feet away, and watch a madman execute her father and then her mother. My heart breaks for her because that isn't safety. That's a death sentence signed by a legislator's pen. We have to stop pretending that disarming the victim stops the predator. All it does is ensure the predator has a target-rich environment. The most infuriating part of this hearing is watching these politicians sit behind their mahogany desks and tell a survivor what she needs. Susanna looked them in the eye and told them the truth. She wasn't mad at the gunman. He was a rabid dog. She was mad at the lawmakers. Why? Because they took away her teeth. When we talk about the Second Amendment, we aren't talking about hunting or hobbies. We are talking about the fundamental, God-given right to not be a spectator at your own parents' funeral. It's about the odds, and on that day, the law made the odds 0. If you believe that no American should ever be legislated into helplessness, then you belong in this community. We are fighting to keep these stories alive and hold the gatekeepers accountable. Stop what you're doing and hit that subscribe button right now. We need your voice to ensure that never again actually means something. Join us, and let's make sure the truth isn't buried under red tape. Susanna's testimony proves that the Second Amendment isn't a privilege granted by the state. It's a right that exists to protect us from the failures of the state. She told Congress she would rather be sitting in a jail cell for a felony today than standing over her parents' graves. Think about the weight of that statement. The government's job is to protect our rights, not to manage our safety into extinction. Every American has a moral duty to be their own first responder, because when seconds count, the police and the politicians are minutes away. Susanna Hupp walked into that room a victim and walked out a legend. She turned her grief into a shield for the rest of us. The question I have for you today is simple. In a moment of crisis, do you want to be a victim or do you want to have a choice? I know where I stand. I stand with Susanna, and I stand with the right to stay alive. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Keep it respectful, but keep it real. I'm reading every single one. Stay safe, stay armed, and I'll see you in the next one.
Okay, I hope that one was okay. Important one to get out. Okay, if you live in Texas, okay, we got a few people there. Welcome. Is this your first time in chat? Please be respectful. Thank you.
I'm going to offend a few guys, don't mean to, but here it goes. So if we're going to find out why something that has 80% support from the electorate is having such a hard time getting passed in the Senate, when 80% of the American people have said, yes, we want this, we're simply asking for to ensure that non-citizens cannot vote in the election. Very, very simple. They keep bringing this a whole stupid idea that, oh, well, what about women who change their name? If those women have real ID, which we were required to get, a year ago? If they have real ID, they already proved they were who they said they were or who they claimed to be. They had to show their marriage certificate. They had to show their birth certificate. All of those things are in place. So everyone who has gotten a real ID has already gone through that scrutiny. So what are we talking about here? The Democrats were fine pushing that right through. But in addition to that, let's talk about what Richard Blumenthal had to say about it. Richard Blumenthal said that non-citizens voting in American elections was virtually non-existent. He likened it to lightning strikes. Now, let's examine that for just a second. If we talk about it being as rare as lightning strikes, first and foremost, he's way off. But the question is, well, I'll make a statement. I know people personally that have been struck by lightning. I've seen the evidence of lightning strikes. I've known of animals being struck by lightning, as well as I'm sure many of you guys. I mean, heck, there might be somebody watching right now that personally has been struck by lightning. So if there was a legislation that could be pushed or some kind of a regulation that could be made to ensure that no one, nothing, no animals would ever be struck by lightning, do you really think if there was money to be made on it, that Democrats and Republicans alike wouldn't vote on that bill? I mean, these people love voting on bills that are non-existent issues. Do you guys remember the anti-lynching bill from 2022? Now, I'm not an idiot. All of us would agree lynching is bad. 100%, I agree. But we already had a law in this country that stated that you cannot kill people. Last I checked, lynching was killing people. There was a law already on the books stating that you could not kill other people, and especially in cold blood. Okay? We had that law. But Democrats decided, and some Republicans decided to grandstand and say, we are now going to declare for the first time in our history that lynching is a hate crime. No crap, Sherlock. Of course it's a hate crime. Did we really need a bill to be passed and signed in order for us all to say, yeah, that's a problem? But let's be honest, it's a problem that's virtually non-existent. I guarantee you there are more cases of lightning strikes than there are lynchings. But let's move forward, though. Let's talk about the problem at hand. At this current time, there are between estimated 2 and 5 million people in this country who are registered to vote who are non-citizens, whether it be illegal or just non-citizens in general. That many people can flip an election. In fact, most of our elections have been close enough where that amount of votes could flip, especially when you start talking about federal elections for House and Senate seats. If it wasn't an issue at all, then why not just vote on it? Say, hey, you know what? Let's not waste our time. Let's just pass this thing. It's not going to change anything, because the truth is it's not the voting that's they're concerned with. It's not the idea that people that non-citizens can vote. It's the concern for them. The concern for them is the other part of the SAVE Act, and that is ensuring that we cut back on mail-in ballots. They fought hard for that. They used a pandemic in order to get that in place, so they can't afford to lose it. Let me know what you guys think. I'll see you next time. Be blessed.
The WF. Okay, we got two Q-in today. Two more DJs, and I got two more Trish and two more Benny's, and then the last one will be a 15-minute one.
About the rule of law, the rule of law, the rule of law, right? Well, all the liberals out there, they know the word Constitution, they know nothing about it. They don't even talk about the Declaration of Independence, which also shows their guilt most of the time. All right. So they're all mouth, they're all word, they're all Constitution, but don't know anything about it. They're all about America, but don't know anything about it. They're all about military, but don't know anything about it. All right. Because the very thing they should know is the very thing that, I mean, a lot of liberals claim they love the military. And I'm like, how? How do you love the military? You know nothing about military laws, military orders, regulations, customs. So they're the most atrocious right now. So let's go and look at some stuff. They're right now saying the 14th Amendment, President Trump is disqualified because he committed treason on January the 6th. All right, so there they are going in the past. All right, so they clearly can work with the past. Perfect. All right, then you go to midterm rallies. There's no such thing as a midterm rally, ladies and gentlemen. There's no such thing as a midterm rally. All right, President Trump, I've been to Mar-a-Lago. It's a country club. It has rules. You can't wear blue jeans. All right, you got to wear a suit and tie. You got to wear a tie. All right, you got to dress up. All right, and then there's no pictures. When President Trump sits down at his table, no pictures. All right, little things like that. All right, and then your course meal comes out, and then you have your fun game of forks and spoons, right? You got to know what to do with that. All right. And so there's rules. Also, I've been to Palm Beach International, his private golf course. And I've also been to Trump Doral, which is a little bit more public. But still, they have rules. All right. They have their country clubs. That's what they are. That's what they're supposed to do. Right. That's why people join them. It's because of the discipline, because of the structure. So President Trump he owns multiple properties where he establishes rules. All right. So when you look at midterm rallies, Federal Election Committee have rules to that. President Trump is the one who signed Executive Order 13848 and declared a national emergency, all right, for election integrity, September the 12th, 2018. It's the very executive order that invoked all of your cyber warfare security teams of the National Guard. The National Guard have been in control of all the elections from 2018, 2020, 2022, and 2024. So that's why it looks absolutely foolish and absolutely insane when you have people out there, Republicans and conservatives especially, but especially patriots, who act like that this was all about 2020 election. It was not about just the 2020 election. This was about all of them. And it clearly shows they don't listen, because President Trump even said in his last rally speeches about this election, he said Republicans will have to fight one last time like hell for this election. He didn't say that by 2024 that all the elections would be one-time voting, voter ID. He didn't say that. That's why people don't listen. People do have no clue what's going on. And it shows by just people in the comment boxes. All right. And it's a lot of times people just want to be a part of something. And that's okay. But when you're typing it out, you're putting it out there, and the internet's forever. So remember that. Be careful what you put out there, because it's forever. And then someone can screenshot it. You can go back, delete it. But someone like me.
That's one more we got. To add to my 4 other videos, I'm going to play. JJ, if you're still here, I got just found the new clip from Hawaii, you guys. 5 clips. They divided it up like probably in 3-minute parts. So we'll get to that last.
In the military, and they have any form of criminal record whatsoever, guess what the veterans would do? All the veterans in external positions, operators, would go, you went and got that person? When we have all these veterans over here who are qualified, who love this country, who would give anything to have another opportunity to fight for this country, and you went after these people? Ain't how it works, ladies and gentlemen. A lot of you quote-unquote patriots that think you're an anon, you're not. Anon is a short term for anonymous. If you have a name and a face, you're not an anon. Now, you can be a patriot and you can be someone fighting for your country, absolutely, but you're not an anon. There's a lot of things that have been taken out of context, terminology, and the validity of that. Know your place, know your lane, know what you're supposed to know. All right. You want a rabbit hole if JFK still alive and all these other things? Great. Do that on your time. But the foundation of the United States of America, military and government, the small government that we need, not a big government, but just the portion of government we do need to function and operate, all right, because of how big we are population-wise, you need a foundation of that. All right. It ain't about who's alive and who ain't. None of that matters. Some of you are so focused on shit that don't matter that you make yourself miserable when you focus on crap that don't matter. It's no bearing on anything whatsoever. And you think people have a list out there of people who have been terminated. No one has that list but the commanders. Nobody. And you are doing President Donald John Trump and all generals, all admirals a disjustice when you believe stuff like that. When you go and believe that. Has it been done? Yes, we can say it's been done, but the only people with those lists that are going to verify that and validate that are the people who are doing it with integrity, because it still has to be done humanely with integrity. We can't make a mockery out of killing people. Now, you can absolutely want punishment, absolutely, as we all do. And a lot of these people deserve the guillotine. They deserve a lot of things, especially for what they did to children. Absolutely. But there still has to have integrity behind it. There still has to be a portion of this that has integrity, meaning that it was all done lawfully and it was all presented to the people in the right context, in the right manner, in the right way, where we can make sure for history's sake, but also future history, that we get this correct and it never replicates again. And so many people, you're just following shit. You're following shit, people. You're following shit. And it has to be said that way. It just has to be said that way. You have no respect for chain of command. You have no respect for authority. You have no respect for functions, operations, but the integrity in those functions and operations, because a lot of you just don't even know it. You should want to know it. You should want to know that. You should want to know every step along the way. You should want to know how this all, it goes from here to here and here to here. From here to there and there to here. And if you'd have yourself a solid foundation, again, in what you're supposed to know, just little things. That's why I did put all those in one book here. If the military ever...
Okay, DJ's been coming out with quite a few videos lately. The next two are Trisha, then the next 3 are... So we got still quite a bit yet. Well, you know what? Let's do this one real quick. Then he has one on Bob Mueller.
Then came
Robert died. Good, I'm glad he's dead.
9 minutes.
What's up, guys? It's Benny. So Robert Mueller died today after a long life. He lived to be 81 years old. You try not to speak ill of the dead. But you know what? You got to be able to judge people by their actions in life. And so don't take any of this personally. Robert Mueller was not a great dude, and not for the reasons that you think. I mean, obviously, the Russiagate collusion scandal that blew up in Democrats' faces, this was a clear op that was run by Robert Mueller. It eventually exonerated President Trump after spending $30-some-odd million on nothing. But I want to focus on something else. And that Robert Mueller was in charge of the FBI during September 11th, you know, like totally missed and or covered up everything that was going on there. And then he was in charge of the FBI when Jeffrey Epstein was able to skate and walk. As we have said time and time again on this channel, the true villains in the Jeffrey Epstein saga are the people. George W. Bush is one of them. Benny, you will never criticize a Republican. Yeah, right. George W. Bush. Dude, like, bring in Bush, bring in Obama. They were the ones who were president while Epstein was in full operations mode. George W. Bush and Robert Mueller, who died today, he was in charge of the FBI. You can see here, September 4th. September 4th. So he was signed into office of the FBI days before September 11th. 5 days before September 11th. Goodness gracious. He served until 2013, right? Into Obama's term. The first year of Obama's term, it looks like. And these are the years when Jeffrey Epstein was nabbed up and was nabbed up for underage sex trafficking with dozens, if not hundreds, of young women in Florida. They had them dead to rights. This was the feds, and this was the FBI. They were the ones that had all the information. They were given all the information. It's Robert Mueller who is part of, I'm not saying it's just him, but part of a cabal that covered up Jeffrey Epstein. We should never even be talking about Jeffrey Epstein. I hate to make everything about Jeffrey Epstein, but like, since this is so much of like what our national dialogue has been about over the last 6 months, we shouldn't be talking about him. If he was properly charged in the year 2006 to 2008, we would have never heard his name ever again. He would have just been another like dirtbag, scumbag that was serving prison for life because he had so many charges. Instead, guys like Robert Mueller let him off the hook. People like Robert Mueller were part of the system that totally let this guy skate and like released Jeffrey Epstein back out onto the streets in order to be, a CIA operative or whatever he was, Mossad operative. So anyway, that's why I don't like Robert Mueller. Donald Trump doesn't like Robert Mueller for obvious other reasons. Robert Mueller tortured his first administration. You could argue that President Trump probably deserves to run again because he was so kneecapped by the Russiagate scandal and the Robert Mueller investigation in the first term. And maybe they deserve a second, a third term because of that. Anyway, here we go. Robert Mueller dies. Donald Trump fumes. I'm glad he's dead. Woo, baby. What does Trump say? Here we go. Robert Mueller just died. Good. I'm glad he's dead. He can no longer hurt innocent people. Donald Trump. Robert Mueller. Like, go talk with the people. Go talk with people who worked in Trump term 1. Some of them are in Trump term 2. I know so many of them very, very well. This was torture for them. They were tortured in all of this. This completely and totally kneecapped the first administration and enraged and destroyed so many careers. The Robert Mueller investigation for nothing. It was for absolutely nothing. Not like again, Robert Mueller admitted on.
You did a lot of work, correct?
Yes, that I agree.
A lot of subpoenas, a lot of pen registers.
A lot of subpoenas. Yes.
Okay, we'll walk this really slow if we need to.
A lot of search warrants.
All right, a lot of search warrants, a lot of things. So you're very thorough. In your opinion, very thorough. You listed this out in your report, correct?
Yes.
Thank you.
Here we go. This is the congressional hearing.
Is it true, the evidence gathered during your investigation, given the questions that you have just answered, is it true the evidence gathered during your investigation did not establish that the president was involved in the underlying crime related to Russian election interference as stated in Volume 1, page 7?
We found insufficient evidence of the president's culpability.
So that would be a yes.
Pardon?
That would be a yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Isn't it true the evidence did not establish that the president or those close to him were involved in the charged Russian computer hacking or active measure conspiracies, or that the president otherwise had unlawful relationships with any Russian official? Volume 2, page 76. Correct.
I'll leave the answer to our report.
The report was everything was a lie.
Here at the Score Bet, it's not just a tournament, it's personal. We've got the easiest way to what you believe. No fluff, no.
All of it was a lie. Robert Mueller dragged this out for years. That was the goal. That was the op in order to destroy President Trump, in order to have this giant cloud and this massive investigation. This was the op. Anyway, Mueller died from unknown circumstances. His family told the New York Times. With sadness, Bob passed away last night. His family privacy is respected. Donald Trump, Mueller's passing. Good. I'm glad he's dead. Trump disliked Mueller since the latter was charged in the investigation, put in charge of the investigation of Russian meddling. Trump labeled it a witch hunt. It was. Mueller's team had not charged Trump for collusion, so they could not exonerate him either. Yeah, right. Okay. Got it. Trump has every right to be pissed off, this guy. Trump said it's total BS at the time. His death comes after the family told the Times in September that he had Parkinson's disease. It's a tough one, right? The revelation came after the Oversight Committee had requested that Mueller appear to testify in the investigation into Jeffrey Epstein. What'd I tell you? That's right. So anyway, Mueller could not and did not find any Russian collusion. Trump's scathing reaction, pissing off libs, but whatever. Robert Mueller died. I didn't know that. Good. I'm glad he's dead. He can no longer hurt innocent people. Trump was innocent of the Russia collusion hoax. Trump was totally innocent. He was exonerated by Robert Mueller himself at the famous press conference at the DOJ, where he said, no, we couldn't find any Russian collusion. They still tried to smear and slander him. $35 million wasted. Mueller claimed he had no idea who Fusion GPS was. He wasn't lying. He held the Trump presidency hostage for years. He didn't investigate the actual Russian collusion, which was Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton literally worked with the Russians in order to pay for. Hillary Clinton worked with Fusion GPS, which paid Russian spies. Christopher Steele paid Russian spies. Hillary Clinton paid Russian spies. That's a bona fide fact. That's a matter of historic record. Hillary Clinton is the one who engaged in Russian collusion. Robert Mueller has died. Mueller's statement into Russian interference in the 2016 campaign, he said, I got nothing. Donald Trump has so many bangers, though, on Robert Mueller. Back when Trump used to post on X all the time and money spent, turns out that Mueller was investigating a total scam. This is what happens when someone who's loyally gets loyalty gets appointed Attorney General of the United States and doesn't have the wisdom or courage to stand down. That's right. This is about Jeff Sessions. Remember that nightmare. Is James Comey and his band of dirty cops going to apologize to Michael Flynn and many others? What about Robert Mueller and his angry Democrat cronies? Just banger after banger. Trump's Mueller meltdown. Even Michael Moore agrees that Democrats and Mueller blew it. All right. I'll just never forgive them for what they did with Epstein. We should never, ever been able to, never had to talk about the guy ever again. It annoys me, honestly. The guy should have rotted and died in prison. And I guess he did die in prison, but it should have been like a 50-year, it should have been a lifetime sentence, right? Anyway, it was Robert Mueller who was in charge. So there you go.
So that was Benny Mueller. I'm going to play that 5 clip now. It's 2 minutes, I think, on each clip. And then we'll go back and, because this is a big clips. Part 1.
Aloha, everyone. I want to give you a quick update from Maui a few days after the storm has passed. The worst is definitely behind us. So I want to get the drone up in the air, and I'm going to show you some more of the damage that was caused by the storm. But if you follow my channel, you know I like to keep things factual and balanced. So we're also going to be taking a look at some of the areas that have already been cleaned up. Let's go take a look. We're going to start the video on the far south end of Kihei and work our way to the north. The storm damage does intensify the further north we go, and we will see a property that actually fell into the ocean towards the end of the video. But this first clip is of a sinkhole on South Kihei Road that I first reported on Saturday. As you can see, equipment is already on site to start the repairs. Now this area is considered South Kihei, and the 2 short-term rental condos that would be most impacted by this road damage are Kihei Akahi and Maui Banyan. However, I personally walked this entire stretch of South Kihei Road myself, and all the businesses and short-term rental condos are accessible. Okay, from here, we're going to jump ahead to Central Kihei. This is an area known as the Cove. And it did get flooded during the storm.
17
but
hours
as you can see
ago.
for yourself, the road is already cleaned and open to normal traffic. It is important that I make it clear that most of South and Central Kihei and almost all of Wailea did not receive substantial damage. So if you have a trip planned to Maui in the next week, odds are the property that you're staying at is perfectly fine. Just make sure to check directly with the property before making any decisions to cancel your trip.
Oh, hey, that was part 1.
Of cloudy and rainy weather. But it won't be nearly as intense as this last storm, and it's just a matter of time before we're back to perfect weather on Maui that we experience almost every single day. By the way, if you want to stay informed on what is happening here on Maui in real time, the easiest way to do that is to follow me on either Facebook or Instagram. I'll drop links to both accounts in the description, just in case you want to follow for more updates from Maui. Okay, now we're going to jump ahead again to North Kihei, which was hit hardest by the flooding. Right now, we're flying past the Azeka Shopping Center and the McDonald's building. You will see that this area is still in the process of cleaning up, but it is much better than when I recorded my first drone update right after the storm. While some of the property and infrastructure damage from the storm is hard to see, the good news is that we can report that there was not any loss of life and only 2 serious injuries reported on the entire island. I have had a lot of people reaching out to ask me if it's still okay to come vacation on Maui right after this storm. And while the storm did have a strong impact on a few areas within the island, this is nowhere near the devastation compared to the Lahaina fire in 2023, where more than 100 people died and thousands of people lost their home. So yes, it's definitely okay to still come and visit Maui. If anything, Maui could use your support now more than ever, as our tourism-based economy has seen a downturn from all the negative press created by that Lahaina fire. On the left-hand side of the screen, you can see that we're now coming up
Has
on
anybody
the
seen any
Maui
clips on
sunset.
this yet?
That being said, the
Part 3 coming up.
stretch of short-term rental condos here in North Kihei. By the way, I will be providing timestamps in the description of all the key landmarks that we fly over in this video. The condo community with the red roofs on the left-hand side of the screen is Luana Kai. Notice that local traffic is still flowing in this area with a few cars on the road. But this is also where we're going to start to see how big of a project it has been to clean up. We see several piles of dirt being moved by large equipment. And not to make light of the situation, but this kind of reminds me of what it looks like after a huge snowstorm in colder climates. But instead of plows with snowbanks, we have piles of mud banks. The building that we're passing on the left-hand side of the screen now is Kauhali Makai, also known as Village by the Sea. Have you ever noticed that most news sources only cover the destruction of an event like this and not the recovery? Well, I do my best to provide balanced and factual updates on some of Maui's most important and controversial topics. So if you appreciate the time and energy it takes to produce these videos, don't forget to hit the like button for me. And subscribe for future updates as things return to normal here on Maui. The smaller properties on the right-hand side of the screen, condominium complex.
Part 4.
Building on the ocean side of South Kihei Road is Koa Lagoon.
What do you guys think of this?
Just
These
past
important
that,
clips
the
here.
horseshoe
This
shaped
came
building
out.
on the ocean side is Menehune Shores. And now coming up on the right-hand side is Kihei Resort. The next group of buildings with brown roofs and solar panels is Kihei Bay Surf. And coming up on the left, where you see a lot of large equipment, this is where the Humpback Whale National Marine Sanctuary Visitor Center is for the Hawaiian Islands. The buildings with the darker roofs on the right-hand side are Kihei Bay Vista. This is an area where we're going to start to see more of South Kihei Road undermined and washed out. But in this video, we do see a few vehicles that are still moving through this portion of South Kihei Road. For point of reference, the buildings coming up on the mountain side of the road are part of the newly constructed Hilton Grand Vacations Club at Maui Bay Villas. From here, we're going to jump ahead to the far north end of Kihei, which appears to have received the most substantial damage from the storm. Right away here, we see another section of South Kihei Road that has collapsed. On the right-hand side of the screen, we're flying past the location of an ABC store and a very popular shaved ice stand as well. On the left-hand side of the screen, we're coming up on Kihei Beach condominiums, part of the Koa Resort condo complex.
Okay, last clip, and we got 4 clips, 4 videos, 2 Benny and 2 Trish.
Which is known as the longest continuous stretch of walkable sand on the entire island. And it is this area where one of the smaller condo complexes was severely damaged and has collapsed into the ocean after the storm. We'll see a close-up shot of that building from a different angle in just a few seconds. But the buildings we're seeing on the left-hand side of the screen right now is the Ma'alaya Surf condo complex, which is directly adjacent to the property that fell into the ocean. We're now flying past the intersection of South Kihei Road and North Kihei Road. And from here, the road is completely clear in both directions. Earlier this week, I actually drove all the way from the south end of Wailea all the way up to the west side in Kaanapali and had 0 issues with the road the entire way. We're now coming up on the Sugar Beach condos on the left-hand side. And the last building on this stretch of beach is the Kealia Resort. Now we're going to jump over to the ocean side of this particular stretch of Sugar Beach. This is the washed out and collapsed building that you saw at the intro of this video. The condo complex is called Kihei Kai. As you can see, it is a post and pier wooden building that is comprised of condos that allow short-term rentals. Built in 1979, the property had received significant damage from a previous storm. Owners were in the process of completing repairs, but unfortunately, this storm proved to be too much for the structure to handle. Now, you're probably wondering how well the other buildings on this particular stretch of Sugar Beach survived the big storm. Well, let me show you. The first building we pass here on the left is the Kealia Resort condos. And just past that is the Sugar Beach Resort. There's definitely damage in certain areas. And it's important to see that clearly. But it's also important to understand that much of Maui is still fully functioning, open, and moving forward. Both of those things can be true at the same time. Storms like this can look overwhelming in the moment, especially from the air. But if you pay any attention to Maui, you know that this island has been through a lot, and it always finds a way to recover. And to me, that's the most interesting part of the story. Of course, I'll keep everyone posted on the recovery from this storm, as well as updates on the recovery from the Lahaina wildfire and some of the more controversial politics that are evolving on the island. So make sure you're subscribed to the channel and feel free to share this video with.
Okay, those are, yeah, he's calling. Must be another animal out there. So those are big clips there, important ones. So we'll get 2 short ones here.
Or Medicaid.
Big out.
You may qualify for a free iPhone or Samsung plus up to 10 gig.
The American people are on the side of the President of the United States all day long. And CNN had to admit it. Brand new poll out. Let's go to my friend Harry Anson. I love it. Take it away, Harry.
Okay, MAGA GOP on the U.S. military action in Iran. Look at this. Nearly 9 in 10, 89% approve of the U.S. military action in Iran. That is the MAGA GOP base. Just 9% disapprove of it. This is tremendously popular among the Republican base. And of course, Marco Rubio, Secretary of State, overseeing the effort. It seems to me that a lot of people are taking that into account, including President Donald Trump, who has been smiling an awful lot at Marco Rubio lately.
You better believe it. Of course he's smiling because things are going well. Again, back to the president explaining where we are right now. Not a bad place to be.
I have Marco here. We have a lot of our great people. JD is here. They're all here. And I say, let's do this. We got to do it right. Should have been done by many presidents. Should have been done long before 47 years. It's 40 years of living in terror. You know, they're called the bully of the Middle East, but they're really the bully of the world because he used oil to bribe, right? They used oil to bribe and to, you know, gain power. I don't know what they gained. What did they gain? What the hell? How are they doing? Not so good. They're all gone now. Every one of them, they're all gone.
They're all gone. Well done. Well done indeed. And I'll tell you, as I said, the American people are on his side. And look, it's going to be harder and harder. I mean, you get 6 young men that we lost. I get it. But, you know, I know the president, and I've had this conversation with him in the past. When we were pulling out of Syria, I pushed him on it, and I was asking, and I mean, he got a little bit mad with me. He was like, and this was an off-record conversation, but he wouldn't care that I told you this. And he said, listen, like, you look at these parents in the eye. You live with yourself knowing that you've lost these lives. So he is not choosing to do this. This is not like the first, you know, go-to move. He was pushed to this point. You saw what Steve Witkoff said. I've played you that sound. Steve Witkoff said, look, we sat down and the first thing they told us was they had all this uranium and they had enhanced it by 60% and they were months away from having a bunch of nuclear weapons. And don't take Steve's word for it or my word for it. You can go back and I've played you this too, the MSNBC tape, or MS Now, whatever the heck it is they call themselves these days. And you had the Iranian guy on there, the spokesperson saying, yep, we got all of this and we're enriching it. So this is their starting place, okay, ladies and gentlemen? Are you really going to live in a world where you're going to allow for Iran to have a nuclear weapon? No, thank you, okay? No, thank you. I don't care if you got 50 zillion Tucker Carlsons out there and all of his cronies begging to stop this war. If you have an Iran that is a nuclear threat, that is a threat to a whole lot more than, and it's awful. I really, you know, I love our military and I thank our military, and they're incredible. And they know what they're signing up for. No one deserves to lose their child, their spouse, their brother, their sister in a conflict like this. But what is the alternative? We're going to allow for more October 7th to happen. We're going to allow for Iran to have a nuclear weapon and direct the thing at us, or take over all of Europe and the Middle East while they're at it. No way, Jose. I'm not okay with that. I'm not.
Yeah, that was only a 4-minute one, you guys. We'll see how time is. I might play that 15-minute one.
Marco Rubio saying the quiet part out loud here, admitting that, you know,
7
the
minutes.
religion itself, extreme Muslim faith, is a problem. The extreme Muslim faith wants to spread itself across the globe and have everybody be just like them. And that inherently is a problem, right? And nobody wants to say this. Everybody's so sensitive. You know, Ilhan Omar is going to get real mad at you. But Marco said, I'm all in. I'm going to come right on and say it. Here he is. Of course, he had an easy enough audience for this because Sean Hannity's not going to challenge him on it, nor would I, nor should anyone, frankly. I think that this stuff needs to be understood, needs to be said. This is not just a religion, but a political movement. Marco Rubio here admitting the quiet part out loud. Watch.
Ultimately, all radical Islamic movements in the world identify the West writ large, but the United States in particular, as the greatest evil on the earth. And every chance to have the notion that somehow radical Islam would be comfortable with simply controlling some province in Iraq or Syria is just not borne out by history. Radical Islam has shown that their desire is not simply to occupy one part of the world and be happy with their own little caliphate. They want to expand. It's revolutionary in its nature. It seeks to expand and control more territories and more people. And radical Islam has designs openly on the West. On the United States, on Europe, we've seen that progress there as well. And they are prepared to conduct acts of terrorism. In the case of Iran, nation state actions, assassinations, murders, you name it, whatever it takes for them to gain their influence and ultimately their domination of different cultures and societies. That's a clear and imminent threat to the world and to the broader West, but especially to the United States, who they identify as the chief source of evil on the planet. Okay, the reason why they hate the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, the leadership of the UAE, of Bahrain, is because they've allowed the United States to partner with them. That's why they hate them. They consider them infidels for it. They hate Israel. But they also hate America, and they hate anywhere in the world that we have influence. They seek to attack it, including here in the homeland. If you look at the domestic terrorists, at the attacks that have happened here domestically, the overwhelming majority of them have been inspired by radical Islamic viewpoints. And that includes the shooting in the Pulse nightclub in Orlando, Florida. That includes the Saudi pilot in Pensacola, my home state, 2 attacks.
I mean, nobody wants to hear that, but you have to be willing to understand what's at stake here. I think about the soundbite. I'm not going to play it again because we've played it a few times already, but the CNN host, right, who is trying to challenge everybody when they're like, okay, there's been all these recent terror attacks and they're related to Muslim extremism. And the host is like, what do you mean? Why do you say they're related to Muslim extremism, as though it's just, completely random, but all of them have been related, in fact, to Muslim extremism. And nobody wants to be able to say those things because in this PC correct world, we're just supposed to like roll over and play dead. And, you keep playing that, eventually you will be dead. Trust me. So Marco, thank you for being willing to stand up and call this stuff out. And I'll tell you, the MAGA base loves it. And they love him right now. We've talked about this. He's been soaring as of late. I'm looking at Polymarket. And by the way, CNN has some data as well. Let's go over to CNN. They can't believe this. They're like, oh my goodness, CNN has to admit it. He's hot, hot, hot. Their words, not mine.
This morning, it is never too early to talk about 2028, the approaching presidential election. It is getting closer and closer and closer. And one person who may very well be rising, Secretary of State, National Security Advisor Marco Rubio, front and center with the war in Iran, but also rising. Like, look at these smiles. Look at this. Look at the way they're looking at each other there. All right, with us now, CNN chief data analyst Harry.
I'm looking at you with that same
It's the
smile.
same way that they look at each other here. Look, when you talk about the prediction markets, how has, what's happened to Marco Rubio's stock over the last few weeks?
Marco Rubio is hot, 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 like a summer heat wave. I mean, just take a look here. Over the last 6 months, Chance Rubio's the 2028 GOP presidential nominee. He was just at 7% 6 months ago. Hello, up like a rocket, 27% chance now. What is that? That's quadrupling his chances in 4 months' time. Marco Rubio's chances, according to the Kalshi prediction markets, way, way up.
Okay, why?
Why are his chances way, way up? Well, one of the reasons why his chances are way, way up is because the MAGA base really likes the U.S. military action in Iran. Take a look here. Okay, MAGA GOP on the U.S. military action in Iran. Look at this. Nearly 9 in 10, 89% approve of the U.S. military action in Iran. That is the MAGA GOP base. Just 9% disapprove of it. This is tremendously popular among the Republican base. And of course, Marco Rubio, Secretary of State, overseeing the effort. It seems to me that a lot of people are taking that into account, including President Donald Trump, who has been smiling an awful lot at Marco Rubio.
He might be the next president of the United States. And listen, he's got a lot going on right now. You think about what went down in Venezuela, big success in Venezuela. You think about the success we're having in Iran. These are meaningful moves, guys, meaningful moves. And then you think about what's happening in Cuba. I mean, it's like my international relations term paper from senior year coming true. I do believe I said we need to look out for our Western Hemisphere, Monroe Doctrine. Let's make sure that we shore it up so that we have only friends in our neighborhood, okay? Because we don't want China hanging out. We don't want Russia hanging out. We don't want the Iranians hanging out. No. We want the U.S. of A. at least dominating our hemisphere, for goodness sakes.
Okay, we got 2 men there, Trisha. I'm going to play that 15-minute one with the important war stuff. on pad here. Ah. This one's 22, so this might be the last one, you guys.
Drone in actual combat happened from the deck of a ship that our own Navy tried to throw away. The Littoral Combat Ship, LCS. The program the media called Pentagon's Floating Garbage. The Freedom class variant, built around a propulsion system that channels 2 diesel engines and 2 gas turbines through a single combining gearbox. The torque loads exceeded what the gear teeth could sustain. They ground themselves into metal dust while the ship was underway. USS Milwaukee, LCS-5, lost propulsion on her maiden voyage, 1 month after delivery. USS Detroit, LCS-7, dead in the water, towed back to port. The Chief of Naval Operations, Admiral Mike Gilday, called the combining gear problem the most challenging engineering problem that we have seen on any class of ship since I have been in the Navy. The Independence class variant had a different disease, a trimaran hull built entirely from aluminum, 3 hulls joined by a wide connecting deck. Aluminum saves weight, weight saves speed, but aluminum fatigues under the relentless cyclic stress of ocean waves. Structural cracks propagated through high-load junctions, a warship whose skin was tearing itself apart. The Navy decommissioned some of these ships before they reached half their design service life, ships that never grew old enough to fight. And yet, right now, in the opening hours of the largest naval campaign since Iraq 2003, while our $13 billion supercarriers sit safely in deep water, while our EEGI's destroyers hold the outer perimeter, it is this ship, the broken one, that is inside the cage, executing the mission that no other platform in our fleet can touch. Why? Why would CENTCOM hand a war-defining role to a platform with cracking hulls and self-destructing gearboxes? The answer does not live inside the ship. It lives on the map. And if you want to understand the engineering behind that decision instead of the headlines, subscribe to Navy Decoded. We do not celebrate weapons here. We calculate whether they work. To see why, we have to look at the geometry of the cage that Iran built.
Did you go?
Look at the Strait of Hormuz, 21 nautical miles at its narrowest point. But the usable shipping lanes compress to 4 nautical miles, 2 in each direction. 20% of the world's crude oil passes through that keyhole every day. Now look at what Iran has built around it. This is not a defensive position. This is a 3-dimensional kill zone. Beneath the surface, thousands of naval mines, contact mines, bottom influence mines, and EM-52 rocket-propelled mines that sit on the seafloor and launch upward into a hull. Behind those mines, Ghadir-class midget submarines, over 20 hulls, lurk in the acoustic clutter of the shallows, carrying torpedoes and additional mines. On the surface, over 1,500 IRGC fast attack craft and armed small boats. Small fiberglass hulls capable of 50 knots, many carrying a Nasser-1 anti-ship missile. They do not engage in formation, they swarm. Their doctrine is saturation, enough mass to overwhelm the computational capacity of any defense system. From the air, drone swarms fill radar scopes with hundreds of low-speed clutter signals, bleeding processing cycles from interceptor systems. And behind that electronic noise, IRGC ballistic missiles descend at Mach 3, the real payload hidden behind the cheap decoys. Do not underestimate what this system represents. This is not random aggression. This is a precisely engineered anti-access architecture designed to exploit one physical constraint. The time it takes our EEGI's combat system to detect, classify, authorize, and fire is longer than the flight time of the weapon trying to reach us at close range. That constraint locks our supercarriers out. 100,000 long tons of displacement, 5,000 sailors, $15 million per day in operating costs. We do not push that into a bathtub where the enemy has had 40 years to rig every square mile. We covered this geometry in a previous video. Our carriers sit outside, in deep water, holding the choke points from a distance. But distance creates a problem. CENTCOM needs 2 things solved simultaneously, and both require a platform inside the cage. The first problem is offensive. To To break Iran's air defense network, we need a forward node close to the Iranian coastline, a launch platform that throws cheap attack drones into the radar net, saturates the interceptor grid, and opens a corridor for the Tomahawks screaming in from the destroyers behind. That platform needs 4 things: a small radar and thermal footprint that does not attract ballistic missiles, speed above 40 knots to stay ahead of targeting solutions, a deck large enough and stable enough to launch drones, and a displacement small enough that it can operate in the shallow coastal waters where deeper draft warships cannot follow. The second problem is defensive. The strait is seeded with Iranian mines. Before a single oil tanker can transit safely, someone has to find those mines and destroy them, without sending sailors into the minefield. The Avenger-class minesweepers that performed this mission in the Gulf have been decommissioned, the last 4 withdrawn from Bahrain in September 2025. The replacement must carry unmanned mine hunting systems, robots that go where humans should not. Run the variables. Supercarrier? Too large, too expensive, too many of our people at risk. Destroyer? Not designed for mine countermeasures, and every VLS cell is too valuable to risk inside the kill zone. Cruiser? Same problem. Submarine? Cannot launch drones from a submerged platform. One ship solves both equations. The ship the Navy wanted to throw away. But before we see what this ship did in combat, we have to understand why it even survived long enough to fight. Because the answer is buried inside the very defects that should have ended it. Start with the Independence class, the trimaran design that cracked. 3 narrow hulls connected by a wide aluminum deck structure. The cracks were real, metal fatigue at high-stress joints, a material weakness that the Navy spent years and millions trying to fix. But look at what the trimaran geometry also produced. 3 hulls spread apart create a metacentric height, the distance between the center of gravity and the center of buoyancy, significantly larger than a conventional monohull. In naval architecture, metacentric height determines how violently a ship rolls. Think of the difference between standing in a canoe and standing on a catamaran. The wider the stance between the hulls, the harder it is to tip. Higher metacentric height means the ship resists rolling. It stays flat. That is irrelevant for a traditional warship firing guns or launching missiles. But for a platform that needs to launch drones from its deck in open ocean swells, it is everything. A trimaran deck is a stable table in a moving sea. Now consider the other failure. The LCS was designed around swappable mission modules, anti-submarine warfare, surface warfare, mine countermeasures that could be loaded and unloaded in port. The modularity concept failed. The modules were late, over budget, and underperforming. The Navy abandoned the plug-and-play vision. But when you strip the failed modules out, what remains? A massive, empty flight deck. Over 11,000 square feet of unobstructed surface area on the Independence class, roughly the footprint of 3 tennis courts. That empty deck was not designed to be a feature. It was left behind by failure. And failure sometimes leaves behind exactly what you need. Open architecture. The Navy stopped trying to make LCS perfect. Instead, they made it a modular node. Bolt a rocket-assisted drone launcher onto the deck. No structural modification required. The ship does not need to be good at everything. It needs to float, move fast, and open its deck to whatever system the mission demands. The trimaran with the failed modules became the most flexible launch platform in the fleet. A stable deck, 11,000 square feet of empty space, 40 plus knots. Now the question becomes, what do you put on that deck that changes the war? In December 2025, USS Santa Barbara LCS-32 was operating in the Arabian Gulf. From her flight deck, a rocket booster ignited. A small delta-wing aircraft climbed into the sky. 10 feet long, 8-foot wingspan. That was the first shipboard launch of Lucas, the low-cost, unmanned combat attack system. The first time the United States Navy fired a one-way attack drone from a warship at sea. 2 months later, that weapon went to war. Lucas is an engineering paradox. Its airframe is reverse engineered from Iran's own Shahed 136, one of the most effective one-way attack drones in modern warfare. American engineers at Spectre Works in Arizona studied what made it effective: the delta wing aerodynamics, the low-cost manufacturing, the operational range, kept the physics that worked and rebuilt everything else. Then they flew it back to the country that designed it. But what separates Lucas from a copy is not cosmetics. It is 3 engineering upgrades that turned a crude weapon into a precision system. Start with propulsion. The original Shahed runs a crude 4-cylinder knockoff that broadcasts its acoustic signature across the water. You can hear it coming. SpectreWorks replaced it with a DA-215 two-stroke engine, 215 cubic centimeters, 20 horsepower, fitted with electronic fuel injection. The DA-215 operates at a fraction of that noise. Lucas does not arrive silently, but it arrives quietly enough that radar detection, not sound, becomes the primary warning. Then there is the guidance. The original Shahed follows pre-programmed GPS coordinates, fire and forget. Lucas does not. It maintains a continuous uplink through the Starlink low Earth orbit satellite constellation. That connection solves the radar horizon problem, the physical limit where the curvature of the Earth blocks line-of-sight targeting. Through Starlink, a command center can redirect Lucas against moving targets beyond the horizon. Human in the loop. The trigger requires a person. The precision requires a satellite. And
free phone for SNAP, Medicaid, or SSI. If you qualify, Tag Mobile gives you up to 25 gigabytes.
finally, the capability that no Shahed has ever demonstrated, autonomous coordination. Lucas carries swarming algorithms that allow drones in a formation to talk to each other, sharing trajectory data, allocating targets, coordinating approach vectors. A single Lucas is a nuisance. 20 Lucas, arriving from multiple azimuths, is a computational crisis for any air defense system. Now run the economics. Each Lucas costs $35,000. An SM-6 interceptor to shoot it down costs nearly $5 million. Iran spent 40 years building a toll booth that charges $5 million per car. Lucas drives a $35,000 motorcycle right through the barrier. The cost trap that Iran designed to drain American interceptors now works in reverse. When Epic Fury commenced, Lucas drones launched from LCS flight decks and struck IRGC command and control nodes. They hit early warning radar installations. They struck missile and drone launch sites. They hit military airfields. Admiral Brad Cooper, the CENTCOM commander, called Lucas indispensable. Not useful, not helpful, indispensable. The $35,000 drones cleared the path, and behind them, Arleigh Burke destroyers opened their VLS cells. Tomahawk cruise missiles, $2 million each, carrying precision guidance and heavy warheads, flew through the corridors that Lucas had just opened. The expendable drone does not kill the hardened target. It blinds the air defense that protects the hardened target. The $2 million Tomahawk finishes the job. For the first time in history, the United States Navy synchronized expendable attack drones with strategic cruise missiles inside a single kill chain in actual combat. While Lucas tore corridors through Iran's air defense, a second mission was unfolding in the waters of the strait itself. USS Canberra, LCS-30, had arrived at Naval Support Activity Bahrain in May 2025, the first Independence-class LCS to deploy with the full mine countermeasures mission package. USS Tulsa, LCS-16, and USS Santa Barbara followed. 3 LCS platforms, each carrying a suite of unmanned systems designed to find and destroy mines without placing a single sailor in the minefield. The MCM package operates on a simple principle that required decades of engineering to execute. The ship stays outside the threat zone, the robots go in. The Common Unmanned Surface Vehicle, CUSV, is a remote-controlled boat that tows the ANAQS-20 mine-hunting sonar through suspected mine zones. The sonar paints the seafloor, identifying objects by shape, density, and magnetic signature. The human operator sits on the LCS, miles away, watching the data feed. From the flight deck, MH-60S Seahawk helicopters carry 2 additional systems. The ANAES-1 Airborne Laser Mine Detection System, ALMDS, scans the water column with a blue-green laser, detecting floating and near-surface moored mines that sonar cannot reach from below. Once a mine is located, the ANASQ-235 Airborne Mine Neutralization System deploys an expendable unmanned underwater vehicle, a small robot that swims to the mine and destroys it. 3 layers of detection, 3 unmanned systems, 0 sailors in the water. The Avenger-class minesweepers that previously performed this mission required their crews to operate directly inside the minefield. LCS eliminated that variable. The first combat deployment of this unmanned MCM architecture happened in the waters of the Persian Gulf during Epic Fury. 2 missions, same class of ship, running simultaneously on the same map. One is tearing holes in Iran's air defense. The other is clearing mines from the strait. Neither mission was possible 12 months ago. Now watch them converge. On the offensive side, LCS platforms cut through the Gulf at over 40 knots, constantly shifting position, denying Iran's coastal defense batteries a stable targeting solution. From those moving decks, Lucas swarms launched into Iranian airspace. Dozens of $35,000 drones flooding the radar scopes of IRGC air defense. Every interceptor fired at a Lucas is an interceptor that will not be available when the real threat arrives. And while Iran's defense grid is saturated, burning through its finite magazine on expendable targets, the destroyers behind the LCS opened their vertical launch cells. Cheap mass kicked the door open. Tomahawks flew through the gap. On the defensive side, other LCS platforms deploy unmanned surface vehicles and helicopter-borne systems into the mined waters of the strait. Sonar mapping the seafloor, lasers scanning the water column, robot swimmers destroying what they find. The corridor that Iran seeded with $1,500 mines is being cleared by machines. No crew in the water, no minesweeper inside the threat zone. The results wrote themselves across the surface of the Persian Gulf. Iris Jamaran, a Muj-class frigate, one of Iran's most capable surface combatants, was struck and sunk at Konarak Naval Base. CENTCOM released satellite imagery confirming the hull partially submerged at the pier. Iris Bayandor and Iris Nagdi, both corvettes, shared the same fate at the same base. 3 warships destroyed, without leaving port. At Bandar Abbas, Iris Shahid Bagheri, a commercial cargo vessel that the IRGC had converted into a makeshift drone carrier with an angled flight deck, was structurally destroyed at her berth. Iris Macron, hull number 441, a converted oil tanker serving as a mobile forward base, heavily damaged at anchor. But here is the detail that rewrites the story. Look at what we just destroyed at Bandar Abbas, the Shahid Bagheri. Iran spent years converting a cargo ship into a pocket drone carrier, welding an angled flight deck onto a freighter hull. That was their answer to drone warfare at sea. It never sailed into combat. It was broken at the pier where it was born. Now look at what just launched the drones that helped destroy it. A 3,000-ton ship with cracking aluminum skin that our own Congress called a waste of money. Iran built a drone carrier from scratch and lost it. We took a ship everyone wanted to scrap and turned it into a drone carrier that worked. That is not irony. That is engineering. Over the course of Epic Fury, more than 100 Iranian naval vessels were destroyed. The surface fleet that was supposed to swarm and overwhelm us in the shallow waters of the Gulf ceased to exist as a coherent fighting force. Now you have the data. Go back to the question we started with, and this time, you already know the answer. Why the worst ship? Why LCS? Because the equation did not ask for the best ship. It asked for the right ship. Small enough to enter the cage, fast enough to survive inside it, a deck wide enough and stable enough to launch drones, cheap enough that losing one does not cripple our fleet. Run those 4 variables against every hull we own. Only one answer comes back. And that answer did more than the equation required. It launched the first combat drone strike from a warship. It deployed the first unmanned mine countermeasures architecture in a live minefield. It operated inside a kill zone that our supercarriers could not enter. And it survived, because 40-knot speed and a 3,000-ton displacement do not generate the targeting signature that attracts ballistic missiles. The engineers did not fix the cracked hull. They did not repair the failed modules. They ran the equation again, and the failures became the features. The empty deck that modularity left behind became a drone launch pad. The trimaran hull that cracked under ocean stress provided the stability that rocket-assisted launch demands. The low cost that Congress complained about became the acceptable risk that let CENTCOM push LCS into the teeth of Iran's defenses. If you now see equations instead of failure, subscribe to Navy Decoded and share this with someone who still believes a warship has to be perfect to be lethal. The LCS proved a principle that will define the next generation of naval warfare. You do not need one platform that does everything. You need many platforms that each do one thing: connected by a network that multiplies their effect. Distributed lethality is no longer a PowerPoint briefing. It is a doctrine tested in combat, validated by a ship that was never supposed to see one. The future does not belong to perfect machines. It belongs to imperfect machines in the right position, running the right equation, operated by crews who understand that engineering does not require elegance. It requires math. LCS was never a good ship. It was the right variable, and the equation worked.
So I'm glad I played that one for last. That's a good one to end the show with. Very important one. I don't know if you have my email so I can reach out to you. If you need it. So that's going to wrap everything up. See how I feel tomorrow. I'm doing 2 shows. See what happens. Another good show tonight. JJ. And thanks, mods. Okay, Plango, Lucy, Tim, Carol. And yeah, Laura, if you need my email, let me know. So God bless everybody. Love all. Please hit the like. Stay safe, stay strong, keep your faith. Never give up. Another short half day of Intel instead of a full day. Tomorrow may be a full day, see how it goes. And signing off for tonight. Chico and do. Everybody have a good rest of your weekend, and we'll see you sometime tomorrow. Yeah. See you guys tomorrow. God bless everybody.